Chapter 25-35. This Wei Chu was not boasting. Although he was only at the Yin-Yang Realm Level 1, he had already killed 7 astral-reaching Realm Level 9 warriors in just a short period of time. Tang Ao could see that old He was the one who had been restraining Wei Chu from the front. Otherwise, the group of cultivators surrounding Wei Chu might have already been killed by Wei Chu. Just like the Yin-Yang Realm warriors on the Immortal Ruin Chamber of Commerce's Hidden Dragon list, this Wei Chu was also one of the top warriors in the Sky Star City. Just as Wei Chu was about to kill another 100 Beast Cities warrior with a single spear strike, Wei Chu suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. This was a feeling that Wei Chu had not felt for a long time since he reached the Yin-Yang realm, because it was the feeling of death. It's here. Wei Chu suddenly turned around and looked in the direction of Tang Ao. Then, he saw that Yang Feng, who was fighting with Tang Ao, had already run away. At that moment, a golden longbow appeared in Tang Ao's hand, and Tang Ao's golden longbow was aiming right at him. That feeling of death was also coming from this golden longbow. Although Wei Chu's cultivation was higher than Lu Kunyang's, he did not have the same knowledge as Lu Kunyang, so he did not recognize that this was the legendary primordial sacred sky bow. Even so, Wei Chu knew that if he was hit by this arrow from Tang Ao, he would be half dead even if he did not die. All these thoughts flashed through Wei Chu's mind in an instant, and he immediately made the right decision. Immediately, Wei Chu reached out his hand and grabbed a level 9 astral-reaching realm warrior. At the same time, the mysterious sky arrow in Tang Ao's hand had also flown out. The warrior that was grabbed by Wei Chu collided with the mysterious sky arrow, but he was instantly pierced through by the arrow. Then, the arrow flew towards Wei Chu without any resistance. After feeling the spiritual power of the mysterious sky arrow, Wei Chu did not even dare to use his escape art. Instead, he took out a bone escape art and threw out a palm-sized bronze bell. This bronze bell was the Sky Star Bell. The Sky Star City had a top treasure that could not be moved, called the Sky Star Ancient Bell. The Ancient Heavenly Star Bell was a supreme-grade Khanate divine artifact. The Ancient Heavenly Star Bell's surroundings would condense into the Heavenly Star Child Bell because of the Tao essence emitted by the Ancient Heavenly Star Bell. Although these Heavenly Star Child Bells were not as terrifying as the Ancient Heavenly Star Bell, they were still top-grade immortal artifact. In the blink of an eye, the profound Heaven Arrow and Wei Chu's bone shield collided. Wei Chu's bone shield instantly exploded into dust. Then, the mysterious Heaven Arrow suddenly collided with the Heavenly Star Bell. Dang! The sound of a bell that seemed to have come from ancient times resounded throughout the world. At this moment, the hearts of all the martial artists, the blood race, the blood slaves, and even the blood demons around the city of beasts froze as their souls trembled. Many warriors with low cultivation started to bleed from their orifices, and those life and death realm blood slaves directly exploded into a cloud of blood mist. By the time everyone recovered their wits, they discovered that Wei Chu's Heavenly Star Bell had been shattered by Tang Ao's arrow. However, Wei Chu had also managed to keep his life. Looking at the fist-sized bloody hole on his left shoulder, Wei Chu's soul almost left his body. Wei Chu knew that if he had not taken out the ancient Heavenly Star Bell, then right now, there would not only be a fist-sized bloody hole on his left shoulder, but he would also be dead. Chapter 25-36. This time, Huang Tianxing didn't say anything. He only glanced at Tang Ao and left quickly. No one knew what he was thinking. After witnessing the power of Tang Ao's primordial sacred sky bow twice, Huang Tianxing had already decided to get his hands on this bow. He liked it too much. If someone provoked him in the future, he would kill them with one arrow. Tang Ao almost killed Wei Chu, who was at the first Yin-Yang realm, with his cultivation base at the 4th level of astral reaching realm. As long as he could get his hands on this bow, once he reached the Yin-Yang realm, who would dare to be presumptuous in front of him in the whole desolate martial realm? However, if he wanted to get his hands on the bow, he would still have to kill Tang Ao. This time, Huang Tianxing wasn't in a hurry. He planned to wait for his big brother and Yang Tianxing to arrive before making his move. Huang Tianxing could tell that there were no yin-yang realm experts in Tang Ao's group. This time, he only brought Wei Chu, and they were already scared witless. Next time, whether it was his big brother or Yang Tianxing, Tang Ao would definitely die. If it weren't for Yang Tianxing's face, he wouldn't let Yang Feng escape this time. In the City of Beasts, after Wei Chu and the others left, everyone started to defend against the blood race and the blood slaves that were rushing in. Tang Ao slowly put away the primordial sacred sky bow. In order to ensure that he could kill Wei Chu, Tang Ao's attack directly consumed 99% of his immortal spiritual power. But even so, Tang Ao still couldn't kill Wei Chu. The small bell that Wei Chu took out at the end was very powerful. Apart from the farmer god cauldron, it was the most powerful defensive treasure that Tang Ao had seen so far. If it weren't for that arrow being so powerful, he probably wouldn't even be able to injure Wei Chu. Brother Song, what kind of treasure was that bell? Tang Ao had consumed too much energy, so Tang Ao didn't participate in the battle. Off to the side, Song Qiufeng had also managed to catch his breath. His shattered arm had already been reconstructed with the help of natural treasures. However, his face was still a little pale at this moment. Wei Chu had clearly not held back in his previous spear attack. That scoundrel Wei Chu's luck is pretty good. That bell is a treasure of Heavenly Star City. It's called the Heavenly Star Bell. In the Heavenly Star City, there was a supreme treasure that couldn't be moved. It was rumored to be a top-grade pre-celestial artifact, the Heavenly Star Ancient Bell. The ancient Heavenly Star Bell exudes endless Tao accumulation all year round. Cultivating around the ancient Heavenly Star Bell might allow you to comprehend some very powerful secret technique. Song Qiufeng said enviously, around the ancient Heavenly Star Bell, one can use immortal spirit energy to condense the ancient bell's Tao and nurture the Heavenly Star Child Bell. Unfortunately, those who weren't Stellar Sky City's direct line of descent didn't even have the chance to come into contact with the ancient Heavenly Star Bell. The Heavenly Star Bell that Wei Chu used just now was obviously a life-saving treasure that he condensed. Although the boundless world was full of wonders, Tang Ao had never imagined that there would be such a mystical treasure in this world. After hearing Song Qiufeng's words, Tang Ao wanted to condense a Heavenly Star Bell to protect his life. However, given the current relationship between Tang Ao and Stellar Sky City, Tang Ao wouldn't go to Stellar Sky City to condense a Heavenly Star Bell to protect his life. Instead, he would go there to die. Chapter 2537. Tang Ao nodded and scanned Ling Shuiyao with his soul remembrance. After scanning with his soul remembrance, Tang Ao was shocked. This was because Ling Shuiyao's aura was extremely normal. There was nothing wrong with her at all. However, Ling Shuiyao was currently unconscious and unconscious. However, Tang Ao soon realized that something was wrong. Even a normal person's state of mind and body would not be the same. Even if they were unconscious, there would still be slight changes to their body as time went by. Therefore, Ling Shuiyao's body was extremely normal, which was actually abnormal. However, Tang Ao did not say it out loud. Instead, he secretly activated his sky polar pupil and scanned Ling Shuiyao. With just a glance, Tang Ao had already discovered some clues. As the Tai Chi in Tang Ao's eyes slowly rotated, Tang Ao's body shook slightly. At this moment, Tang Ao finally understood why this place would attract so many blood slaves and warriors of the blood race. There were even a lot of blood beasts here. It was not because of anything else, but because of Ling Shuiyao. Ling Shuiyao, the spirit blood beast. Indeed, this Ling Shuiyao was not a human at all, but a blood race. However, Ling Shuiyao was not one of those bloodthirsty blood races. Instead, she was a spirit blood beast that cultivated by absorbing natural yuan power. The blood of the spirit blood beasts was a great supplement for the blood race, blood slaves, and even blood beasts to advance. If a level 9 astral reaching realm blood race warrior could obtain a drop of the true blood of the spirit blood beasts, then this warrior would definitely be able to advance to the yin-yang realm. It was also because of this that countless blood race warriors flocked to the spirit blood beast. Tang Ao was sure that the blood race warriors did not know Ling Xueyao's identity at all. Otherwise, they would not have searched everywhere, but would have gone to find Ling Xueyao immediately. Sensing the purity of Ling Xueyao's blood, Tang Ao knew that Ling Xueyao had never harmed anyone before. Instead, she had saved a lot of people. Sighing, Tang Ao said to the two girls, "Leave Sister Xueyao to me. You guys take out all the 3-color formation flags I made before. I will need them soon." After speaking, Tang Ao carried Ling Xueyao and walked into his alchemy room. Ling Xueyao had been hit by the blood race's blood sealing spell. If it were a normal human, they would wake up naturally after being hit by this secret spell. However, Ling Xueyao was not a normal human, but a transformed spirit blood beast. As a result, the Blood Clan martial artist had almost killed Ling Xueyao by accident. Entering the alchemy room, Tang Ao took out a rank 5 blood crystal and started to refine the blood melting pellet. This blood melting pellet was a poison for human warriors. Even a chaotic sky realm warrior would not be able to suppress the power of the blood melting pellet, and would eventually die. Moreover, even if human warriors were hit by the blood-sealing spell, they would not need to use the blood-melting pellet. However, right now, Ling Xueyao's true blood had been sealed, and Tang Ao could only use the blood-melting pellet to save her. The blood-melting pellet was a rank 3 immortal pellet, and Tang Ao's speed of refining rank 3 immortal pellets was already very fast. Immortal spirit plants were thrown into the furnace by Tang Ao. As the netherworld flame burned, the essence of the immortal spirit plants was extracted. Chapter 25-38. After refining the blood mist, there was only a drop of crystal red blood left in the furnace. Under Tang Ao's control, the drop of blood fused with the essence of the previous medicinal liquid. Immediately, a blood-colored, amber-like pill was refined. Tang Ao struck out with an alchemy technique and the blood-thinning pill flew out. Tang Ao placed the blood-thinning pill in Ling Xueyao's mouth. Then, the jade bone life soul surged and began to guide the blood-thinning pill's medicinal power to break the blood seal in Ling Xueyao's body. Just as Tang Ao thought, under the medicinal power of the blood-thinning pill, the blood seal in Ling Xueyao's body quickly melted. As the blood seal in her body melted, Ling Xueyao's beautiful eyelashes fluttered. Tang Ao smiled and prepared to get up. However, as Tang Ao stood up, 3 blood awls had completely sealed off Tang Ao's escape route. One of the blood awls was aimed at Tang Ao's back, one was aimed at his linked eye, and the last one was aimed at his left temple. At such a close distance, even a top-notch escape technique would have a slim chance of survival. "You know everything?" Ling Xueyao took a step back and at the same time, took out a long sword. Tang Ao noticed that Ling Xueyao's arm, which was holding the sword, was trembling. Tang Ao closed his eyes and could even hear Ling Xueyao's heartbeat. "Yes, I know." A smile hung on Tang Ao's lips, but his eyes were still closed. "Since you know everything, then I will kill you. Aren't you afraid at all?" Seeing that Tang Ao was completely unguarded, Ling Xueyao asked curiously. "Why should I be afraid? You can't kill me, and you won't kill me, right? Junior sister Xueyao." As Tang Ao spoke, he opened his eyes. Tang Ao revealed a warm smile. Without waiting for Ling Xueyao to speak, Tang Ao continued, "Although you're a vampire, you've never done anything bad or killed anyone. That's why you're very nervous right now. You don't want to kill me, but you're afraid that I'll reveal your identity. So now, you don't know what to do." As soon as Tang Ao finished speaking, The 3 blood alls around Tang Ao shattered. Ling Xueyao's sword also fell to the ground. Ling Xueyao's eyes were filled with helplessness. She really did not know what to do at a time like this. She was not an ordinary spirit blood demon. Her parents were also spirit blood demons, but they had always lived in a human city. Later on, they accidentally exposed their identities and were captured by human warriors. Since then, Ling Xueyao had never seen her parents again. At that moment, a warm hand grabbed Ling Xueyao's ice-cold hand. Following which, Tang Ao's voice rang out. "Junior sister Xueyao, you've never harmed anyone. You've always been helping the city of beasts silently. Why do you care about your identity? Regardless of whether it's the human race, blood clan, demon race, or any other race, we are all equal and can live in harmony. Of course, this might take some time. Cultivate well and don't worry about anything else." After patting Ling Xueyao's shoulder, Tang Ao left the alchemy room. At that moment, Tang Ao had not fully recovered his immortal spiritual energy and soul power. However, only a portion of the array formation had been destroyed. All Tang Ao needed to do was to restore the array formation. It wasn't a very troublesome task. "Senior brother Tang Ao, how's sister Xueyao?" The 2 young girls asked immediately when they saw Tang Ao come out. "I'm fine." Ling Xueyao walked out of the alchemy room and smiled at the 2 young girls. Chapter 2539. Seeing Tang Ao's bitter smile, the 2 girls also chuckled. They immediately apologized to Tang Ao. "Senior brother Tang Ao, we have offended you previously." Tang Ao shook his head and said, "If that's the case, let junior sister Xiao repair this defense array." The city of beasts was their shelter. It would be repaired by Ling Xueyao. Ling Xueyao would also have complete control over the defense array. A hint of gratitude appeared in Ling Xueyao's eyes. She didn't say anything else and immediately led the 2 young girls to the broken formation. Tang Ao took out 3 elixirs and swallowed them. He then sat cross-legged and adjusted his breathing. Even though Ling Xueyao had repaired the array, a large number of blood clan and blood demons had snuck in. Others could not distinguish between the blood clan martial artists and blood demons hidden among the humans. However, Tang Ao could see them clearly with his sky-polar eyes. Tang Ao knew that he could not rest now. There were still many things waiting for him. After Ling Xueyao took action, the hole in the array was repaired immediately. At the same time, Ling Xueyao secretly activated the killing array to help the martial artists of the City of Beasts deal with the Blood Clan powerhouses. Before long, the Blood Clan martial artists who had rushed into the City of Beasts were all killed. However, everyone was very nervous. When the array was damaged just now, many Blood Clan martial artists and blood demons had taken the opportunity to sneak in. At this moment, their companions could be Blood Clan martial artists or blood demons who had snuck in. For a moment, everyone was panicking. "Senior sisterling, what should we do now?" At this moment, all the martial artists of the City of Beasts were gathered in the square of the City of Beasts. As there were blood demons and blood clan hidden among the crowd, no one dared to leave rashly. Otherwise, if they left now, they might very well be a corpse the next day. However, it was obvious that they could not keep gathering here and do nothing. The blood slaves in the array had been cleared. However, because all the martial artists of the City of Beasts were in the array, the Blood Clan and blood slaves outside were destroying the array again. "Don't worry, everyone." At this moment, Huang Qir's voice was heard. "Sister Qir, do you have a solution?" Ling Xueyao was delighted and looked at Huang Qir expectantly. However, to Ling Xueyao's surprise, Huang Qir said, "Senior brother Tang Ao definitely has a solution." This. Huang Qir's words caused the crowd to not know whether to laugh or cry. However, the previously tense atmosphere had slightly eased. At this time, Tang Ao's voice could be heard. "Ku'er is right. I cultivate a secret eye technique that can detect the hidden blood clan members in the crowd. As Tang Ao spoke, Tai Chi runes appeared in his eyes and slowly rotated in his eyes. When they saw this, everyone knew that there was nothing wrong with Tang Ao's judgment. These three people were indeed from the Blood Clan. When they saw this, everyone knew that there was nothing wrong with Tang Ao's judgment. These three people were indeed from the Blood Clan. Tang Ao looked around and realized that these three fellas were really interesting. Of the Blood Clan that had entered earlier, only these three fellas were still there. These three people were also the first Blood Clan that had broken through the array's defense and rushed in. I didn't expect there to be such an expert in the City of Beasts. We will meet again. The three Blood Clan glared coldly at Tang Ao before their figures quickly became blurry. Trying to leave? Not so easy. Before anyone could react, Senior Black had already made the first move. Following closely behind Senior Black were Tang Ao's three mysterious heaven arrows. Senior Black's weapon against the Blood Clan was very special. It was a pitch-black fishing rod with a black line on it. A black nail was tied to the black line. The nail whistled through the air and directly pierced through the bodies of the three Blood Clan martial artists. The bodies of the three Blood Clan martial artists changed and revealed their true forms. At this point, everyone was certain that Tang Ao was right. These three people were the first Blood Clan to enter the array. After their disguises were broken by Senior Black, the three mysterious heaven arrows had already pierced through their hearts without waiting for them to escape. Even if they were from the Blood Clan, they would definitely die after being pierced through the heart by the mysterious heaven arrows. Alright, everyone, don't worry. The Blood Clan that had just entered have all been killed. In another 10 days, the Blood Source array will weaken. The surrounding Blood Clan and Blood Slaves will also retreat. When that time comes, everyone will be able to move freely. Also, if Huang Tianxing comes again, you must not let him attack the array. After a few simple sentences, everyone quickly dispersed. Today, everyone in the City of Beasts had gone through a series of battles. At this moment, all the martial artists were physically and mentally exhausted. That night, apart from the martial artists who were responsible for patrolling the city and those who were overly energetic and addicted to battle, the rest of the people in the City of Beasts were quietly adjusting their breathing. This was the most difficult time since they had arrived at the City of Beasts. This time, they had successfully defended the city. As long as they could hold on for another 10 days, they would be able to survive the siege of the Blood Clan. There were not many Blood Clan members. The reason why the Blood Clan dared to surround the city was because they could control blood slaves. Chapter 2540. After getting used to seeing an endless desert, it was undoubtedly exciting to see an oasis. However, Luo Shi's eyes were filled with solemnity as he looked at the small city in the distance. Luo Shi had been searching for Tang Ao and Huang Qir during this period of time. However, Luo Shi had yet to find them. The most useful information was that a warrior had seen a young lady and a young man riding a flaming Pegasus in the direction of the City of Beasts half a month ago. The warriors on the Chamber of Immortal Ruins Hidden Dragon list knew each other. Therefore, Luo Shi knew that Huang Qir was the only one riding a flaming Pegasus among the warriors on the Hidden Dragon list and the Hero list. If there were no accidents, Huang Qir and Tang Ao should be in the City of Beasts or near the City of Beasts. Even though Luo Shi had been killing non-stop during this period of time, he was still ranked 13th. The warriors who were originally ranked 9th and 10th had been pushed out by Tang Ao and Huang Qir, and they had never returned. It wasn't hard to tell how terrifying Tang Ao and Huang Qir's points were. Even a powerhouse like Luo Shi had a solemn expression when he saw the densely packed blood slaves around the City of Beasts. With so many blood slaves surrounding him, even if none of them were his match, they could still exhaust him to death through sheer numbers. However, Luo Shi could also see that the City of Beasts seemed to have a very strong defense array. Even though so many blood clansmen and blood slaves were attacking it continuously, it still couldn't be broken. This way, the City of Beasts was a good place to earn points. As for the City of Beasts, it was already outside the trial's range. Luo Shi didn't care about this at all. How could the top 30 people on the list have so many points if they were only killing blood clansmen in the Gale Desert? Anyone with a brain would be able to figure out that these people must have gone out of the trial's range to kill blood clansmen. If he really didn't want everyone to go beyond the range of the trial, he could use a formation to limit the range of the identity token. As long as they went beyond the Gale Desert, they wouldn't get any points from killing Blood Tribe members. However, the Chamber of Immortality didn't do that. It was obvious that they wanted to use this opportunity to establish their prestige. They wanted to completely defeat the Blood Clan and intimidate the rest of the people who had thoughts about the Chamber of Immortality. Since that was the case, the Chamber of Immortal Ruins would naturally be happy to see the Blood Clan suffer. Otherwise, they wouldn't have mobilized 10 Azura elders at once. Casting a glance at the 100-beast city in the distance, Luo Shi grinned widely, revealing his white teeth, before he strode steadily towards the 100-beast city. At that moment, Tang Ao had just handed over half of the scarlet gold immortal equipment to Song Qiufeng. Even though Tang Ao had long since finished crafting, Tang Ao did not want Song Qiufeng to know his true crafting speed. That was why he had dragged things out for so long before handing over half of it. Even so, Song Qiufeng was overjoyed after receiving half of the scarlet gold immortal equipment. Even if Tang Ao had only refined half of the scarlet gold immortal equipment, Song Qiufeng would still have made a killing, let alone the fact that Tang Ao had refined so many scarlet gold immortal equipment. At that moment, Song Qiufeng's heart was filled with regret. She regretted not storing more scarlet gold sand all these years. Chapter 2541. Because of this, when Wei Chu's group from Stellar Sky City arrived, the 1,000 merchant house's experts might not even be halfway there. The fact that the 1,000 merchant house could send experts to receive Song Qiufeng wasn't because he was important to the 1,000 merchant house, but because Song Qiufeng had found a blacksmith who could forge scarlet gold immortal artifacts in bulk. Otherwise, the 1,000 merchant house would have given up on Song Qiufeng already. At the end of the day, the 1,000 merchant house was still a huge chamber of commerce and a group of merchants. Merchants were people who wouldn't get up without profit. Song Qiufeng was trapped in a remote city in the Five Elements wasteland, which belonged to Stellar Sky City's sphere of influence. If the 1,000 merchant house's experts wanted to go to the City of Beasts, they would have to pay a huge price. However, after learning that Song Qiufeng had 80 scarlet gold immortal artifacts, the two vice heads of the 1,000 merchant house couldn't sit still. Scarlet gold immortal artifacts were treasures that could be nurtured in a martial artist's spiritual sea. They could grow alongside the martial artist. Any scarlet gold immortal artifact would be a treasure as long as it reached the level of an immortal artifact, no matter how low its grade was. Even the coarsest scarlet gold sand was a grade 4 immortal material. Therefore, it didn't seem difficult to use it to forge immortal artifacts. However, that wasn't the case. It wasn't difficult to use scarlet gold sand to forge artifacts. Even the worst immortal blacksmith could use scarlet gold sand to forge peak grade 9 spirit artifacts. However, spirit artifacts were still spirit artifacts. Only immortal artifact grade scarlet gold weapons could be nurtured in the spiritual sea. Spirit artifacts definitely wouldn't work. Although scarlet gold sand was a grade 4 immortal material, it contained too many impurities. If one wanted to forge an immortal artifact grade scarlet gold weapon, they would need to expend a lot of energy to remove the impurities. However, many times, even after expending a lot of energy, they still couldn't remove much of the impurities. It was precisely because of this that any single crimson gold immortal artifact was extremely precious. Song Qiufeng actually had 80 scarlet gold immortal artifacts, and they were all grade 3 scarlet gold immortal artifacts. Nothing could happen to Song Qiufeng. Even if something happened to Song Qiufeng, these scarlet gold immortal artifacts had to be returned to the Thousand Merchant House. Song Qiufeng sneered when he saw Wu Tong's reply. In fact, Song Qiufeng didn't have 80 scarlet gold immortal weapons in his possession. Although Tang Ao had already refined the scarlet gold immortal weapons, Tang Ao had only given him 50 of them. However, Song Qiufeng knew that the more he said, the faster the reinforcements from the Thousand Merchant House would arrive. Tang Ao was completely unaware of the internal strife between Song Qiufeng and the Thousand Merchant House's upper echelons, nor was he interested in it. At this moment, Tang Ao was in the crafting room, trying to break through to become a Grade 4 Immortal Weapon Master. Immortal weapons crafted by a third-grade Immortal Weapon Master were already enough for astral-reaching realm martial artists. However, apart from special existences like the red gold immortal weapons, the rest of the third-grade immortal weapons were not enough for yin-yang realm martial artists. Tang Ao still had a long way to go before reaching the yin-yang realm, but it was always good to improve his blacksmithing skills. The more skills one has, the bolder one is. Tang Ao's guts were not small to begin with, but the more capable he was, the more confidence he would have on the path of cultivation. Chapter 2542. When Tang Ao first arrived, everyone's eyes were blank. They didn't speak to each other and their mood was very gloomy. Some people even couldn't suppress it and revealed their ugly true colors. But at this moment, even though the night breeze was blowing, the martial artists stationed on the city wall were still drinking and chatting. There were still 9 days left. As long as they could hold on for another 9 days, the coverage of the Blood Source Grand Array would shrink. After the Blood Source Grand Array's power weakened, the Blood Clan wouldn't dare to stay here. Blood slaves and strange blood demons were the greatest reliance of the Blood Clan martial artists. Because of the existence of the Blood Source Grand Array, the number of blood slaves was endless. Blood demons were also of very terrifying existence. The Blood Clan's secret techniques they controlled were even more terrifying and strange than the Blood Clan martial artists. But whether it was blood slaves or blood demons, they all relied on the Blood Source Grand Array to exist. Without the Blood Source Grand Array's continuous supply of blood chi, these blood demons were just fish on the chopping block. In Tang Ao's artifact forging room, there were flames burning in the 9 artifact forging furnaces. While improving his artifact forging skills, Tang Ao was also helping the martial artists in the City of Beasts to forge immortal artifacts. Tang Ao didn't accept immortal crystals for forging. No matter what kind of immortal artifact he wanted to forge, he only needed to prepare 2 sets of materials and then wait patiently. Senior brother Tang Ao, I'm so bored. Huang Qir pouted and walked out of a cultivation room. Although she was an expert on the hidden dragon list, Huang Qir was still a child. Children always liked to play. Previously, Huang Qir followed Tang Ao everywhere. Along the way, she encountered new things and felt very novel in her heart. But now, Huang Qir had stayed with Tang Ao in the City of Beasts for half a month and naturally felt bored. Tang Ao touched his chin and pondered for a moment before saying, "How about I teach you artifact forging?" This was not Tang Ao's first time teaching others how to refine artifact. In Tang Ao's opinion, refining one immortal material after another into powerful immortal artifacts was a very fulfilling and fun thing. Isn't that even more boring? After hearing that Tang Ao actually wanted her to learn refining, Huang Qir's face immediately became full of grievance. Tang Ao smiled bitterly and said, "In another 9 days, the blood race's blood source formation will weaken, and we can return to Langya boundary. Hold on a little longer." As he spoke, Tang Ao reached out and rubbed Huang Qir's little head. "No. It wasn't easy for me to come out. If I don't hurry up, I'll have to cultivate day and night after I go back." Huang Qir felt a headache coming on when she thought about how she would have to learn the art of beast taming from the 3 old-fashioned old men after returning to Wendao Academy. She felt that she had to endure pain that she shouldn't have to endure at her age. However, Huang Qir didn't know that if it weren't for her extraordinary talent and respected status, the 3 supreme elders of the Wendao Academy wouldn't have personally come forward to guide her. In the Tao-seeking academy, countless people racked their brains but were unable to obtain the teachings of a single grand elder. "Little girl, what do you want to do now?" Tang Ao was slightly stunned at first, but he quickly understood that this little girl must want to do something again. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said that. Hee. Huang Qir laughed and didn't immediately say what she wanted to do. Instead, she pulled Tang Ao to the window and pointed into the distance. "Senior brother Tang Ao, do you see those 5 ring-shaped mountains?" Chapter 2543. Also, Sister Xueyao said that there is an ice lake in the 5 Peaks mountain. The ice on this lake will not melt for 10,000 years. After Tang Ao finished, Huang Qir immediately added, "You're talking about the Clear Spirit Ice Lake in the depths of the 5 Peaks mountain. Around the lake, there is a powerful cold qi spreading. Even ordinary demonic beasts can't get close to it. I heard that in the Clear Spirit Ice Lake, there is a kind of clear spirit fish that is as transparent as jade." Tang Ao didn't continue because he already understood Huang Qir's meaning. This little girl was clearly urging him to catch the clear spirit fish. "Qir, the city of beasts is surrounded by blood rays. It's too dangerous outside. We can't go. Moreover, the cold qi around the lake is very powerful. Even 9th-level astral-reaching demonic beasts don't dare to get close. Even if we go, we won't be able to get close to the lake." Although Tang Ao doted on this cute little sister, this kind of thing, Tang Ao still had a sense of propriety. "Excuses? You just don't want to take me. You have the 3rd-grade immortal flame, netherworld flame. No matter how powerful the cold qi above the lake is, we can still get there." Huang Qir pouted. Looking at Huang Qir's little face, Tang Ao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Tang Ao didn't expect this little girl to be quite smart at times. Indeed, Tang Ao had the 3rd-grade immortal flame, netherworld flame. The cold qi around the Clear Spirit Ice Lake couldn't do anything to Tang Ao. However, bringing Huang Qir to catch fish at this time made Tang Ao feel like he was wasting his time. But soon, Tang Ao had another thought. What was the point of cultivation? It was to get rid of the shackles, to transcend the shackles, and to be carefree. Ever since he joined the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce, Tang Ao had a feeling of oppression. He subconsciously thought that he had to strictly follow the chamber's will. Even before leaving the Gale Desert, Tang Ao had hesitated for a long time. If it were before, Tang Ao would definitely not be like this. After thinking for a moment, Tang Ao nodded. "All right, wait for me to prepare, then I'll take you to the ice lake to catch fish." Currently, Tang Ao and Huang Qir were ranked 9th and 10th respectively. The 2 of them already had enough points, and even if the 2 of them left, their points would continue to increase. They had completed the task assigned by the Chamber of Commerce in the Immortal Ruins. As for safety, there were no experts in the desolate martial realm at the Celestial Body Realm, and there were not many people below the Celestial Body Realm who could keep Tang Ao here. According to the information that Tang Ao had received, most of the beasts in the 5 Peak Mountains were at the Astral Reaching Realm. Although there were some Yin-Yang Realm beasts, they were extremely elusive. Chapter 2544. Tang Ao's Array Dao had been at the Grade 4 Immortal Array Master level for a long time. However, it was only recently that Tang Ao's Array Dao had completely stabilized. Now that Tang Ao was setting up a Grade 4 Immortal Array, he could do it as he pleased. Tang Ao took out array flags and placed them in specific array positions. The teleportation array was used to save one's life at critical moment. Therefore, although Tang Ao could use void array runes to set up the array, Tang Ao chose the more reliable array flags. However, even using array flags to set up the array wasn't foolproof. If the surrounding space fluctuated too violently, Tang Ao wouldn't be able to use the array flags to return. If the space Tang Ao was in was sealed, Tang Ao wouldn't be able to sense the teleportation array. However, this wouldn't happen. If there was any danger, Tang Ao would think of a way to avoid it and try his best not to fall into such a predicament. A cool breeze blew over the 100-beast city, and in the dark of the night, the glowing red eyes of the blood slaves sent chills down people's spine. At this moment, two figures suddenly flew out of the city of beasts and headed straight for the 5-peak mountain in the distance. There were two talismans with spiritual aura circulating on Tang Ao and Huang Qir's bodies. These two talismans were aura concealment talismans that could perfectly conceal a martial artist's aura. Of course, if a martial artist with a strong psyche, or a martial artist with sky-polar eyes like Tang Ao, or someone who was very sensitive to spatial fluctuations, they would still be able to detect Tang Ao and Huang Qir. However, neither the martial artists in the city of beasts nor the dense crowd of blood slaves noticed Tang Ao and Huang Qir's departure. Huang Qir had been bored in the city of beasts for the past half a month. Now that she could go to the 5-peak mountain, she was extremely excited. Huang Qir took out the cub. However, the cub had fallen into a deep sleep after absorbing Cain's source essence. Evidently, even though the little black bear's physique was domineering, Cain's essence was still too terrifying. Therefore, after the black cub absorbed it, it could only use the method of hibernation to digest Cain's essence as much as possible. Senior apprentice brother Tang Ao, the cub has been sleeping for half a month. Will it be all right? Huang Qir grabbed the cub's leg and lifted it into the air. Tang Ao felt a headache coming on. When Tang Ao saw Huang Qir's skillful movements, he knew that this wasn't the first time the cub had been treated like this. Tang Ao had used the skypolarity eyes to check on it before, so Tang Ao knew that the little black bear was only absorbing and refining Cain's origin essence. He did not know what kind of ancient beast this little black bear was, but it was extremely terrifying. It was just that the little black bear was sleeping soundly, but Huang Qir often caught it. It was really unlucky. However, the cub was sleeping very soundly. Perhaps it didn't even know what kind of situation it was in. Qir, put it back. We're about to arrive. After leaving the city of beasts for some distance, Tang Ao summoned the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud. Although Tang Ao's Wind Thunder Dark Cloud caused quite a commotion compared to Huang Qir's Flaming Pegasus, Tang Ao's Wind Thunder Dark Cloud was much more low-key. The 5-peak mountain didn't seem far from the city of beasts. However, even if Tang Ao used the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud with all his might, it still took Tang Ao and Huang Qir an hour to reach the middle of the 5-peak mountain. Chapter 2545. However, this time, Tang Ao and Huang Qir were not in the mood to go to the top of the mountain. Their destination was the Clear Spirit Ice Lake in the middle of the mountain. The Clear Spirit Ice Lake was indeed worthy of its name. Tang Ao and Huang Qir had not even seen where the lake was. Just by walking a little deeper into the mountain, their eyebrows and hair were already covered with a layer of frost, and there were snowflakes falling from the sky. Of course, this level of coldness was nothing to the two, since they were not normal people, but two astral-reaching realm warriors. In the low-rank planes, astral-reaching realm warriors were already considered as sky masters. At the same time, Tang Ao also experienced what it meant to have many demonic beasts. Although it was extremely cold here, many demonic beasts didn't like this part of the competition. Although it was cold here, many beasts did not like it, but in this place, as long as it was common, they would be able to see them. Tang Ao and Huang Qir walked for a long time on the snowy road. When they were about to reach the end, they realized that the straight snowy road was actually a hibernating frigid snow python. Although the snow python looked huge and scary, it was a relatively docile beast. However, the cold snow python was a rather docile demonic beast. Of course, it was docile on the condition that you didn't provoke it. If you provoked it, even a yin-yang realm martial artist wouldn't be able to escape unscathed. After all, even a cornered rabbit would bite. Tang Ao and Huang Qir did not make much noise. After walking past the snow python, besides leaving 2 sets of footprints on the snow, nothing else happened. Brother Tang Ao, I think I am raising that huge python. Stars twinkled in Huang Qir's eyes, but Tang Ao knocked her on her head. Then go back and cultivate. That cold snow python is a demonic beast at the yin-yang realm level 7. Once it wakes up, we will be in trouble. As they went deeper, Tang Ao realized that he was in a boundless desert not long ago, but in the next second, he was in a world covered in silver. There was a layer of frost on the surrounding trees. The demonic beasts in this place were very strong. Moreover, apart from the demonic beasts that were in deep sleep, the majority of the demonic beasts were very hostile towards Tang Ao and Huang Qir. Tang Ao spread out his powerful soul power, and everything around him could be clearly sensed by Tang Ao. Therefore, Tang Ao knew which way to go and which places not to go. As the two went deeper, the aura of the beasts around them became more and more powerful. The temperature in the air had also dropped. By this time, the two had already started to circulate their celestial spirit power to dissolve the cold qi in their bodies. After walking for a while, Tang Ao stopped. With a thought, the nether flame formed a transparent fire cover that wrapped Tang Ao and Huang Qir. Then Tang Ao continued to fly Huang Qir deeper into the 5-peak mountain. With the protection of the nether flame, the surrounding cold qi could not do anything to Tang Ao and Huang Qir. However, the two of them were very careful because Tang Ao had already seen many powerful beasts around them. If not for the fact that all the demonic beasts were in a deep slumber, Tang Ao would have considered moving forward. After flying for another hour, even in the netherworld flame's fire barrier, Tang Ao could feel a trace of cold air seeping through. Tang Ao was slightly surprised. At this time, Tang Ao also understood why there were no traces of martial artists in this place. Because without a powerful flame, even a yin-yang realm martial artist would find it difficult to move in this place. Chapter 2546. If he tried to collect it by force, he would have to fight the demonic beasts guarding it. Senior brother Tang Ao, I see the ice lake. It's just ahead. Huang Qir, who was next to Tang Ao, said excitedly as her eyes lit up. Tang Ao looked in the direction that Huang Qir was pointing and found that there was indeed an ice lake there. However, it was completely different from what Tang Ao had imagined. At this moment, the ice lake was in a mess, and there were waves of powerful fluctuations in the distance. Although the aura around him was that of the yin-yang realm, Tang Ao was sure that 2 chaotic heaven realm experts were fighting with their cultivation suppressed. This was not the first time that Tang Ao had encountered chaotic heaven realm experts. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that only chaotic heaven realm experts' celestial spiritual energy would contain this kind of aura. Originally, Tang Ao thought that the depths of the 5 Peaks mountain must be a forbidden area that no one could set foot in. However, he did not expect that there would be 2 experts fighting here. Tang Ao also knew the purpose of their battle. It was for a fruit on an ice tree in the center of the ice lake. When he saw this fruit, Tang Ao's heart skipped a beat. This fruit was the legendary icy Dao fruit. The Dao fruit was a magical existence unique to the true martial realm. It could appear anywhere in the true martial realm. However, normally, only 1 or 2 people in a million would encounter a Dao fruit. It could be said that Tang Ao and Huang Qir were extremely lucky to encounter a Dao fruit here this time. It was a pity that although the two had encountered the Dao fruit this time, they were not fated to meet this icy Dao fruit. This was because at this moment, 2 chaotic heaven realm experts were fighting for the icy Dao fruit with their cultivation suppressed. Yes, chaotic heaven realm experts could not enter the desolate martial realm. However, under normal circumstances, it was impossible for chaotic heaven realm experts to appear in the desolate martial realm. At this moment, the two people fighting in midair were not in a normal situation. They were a white-haired old man and a beautiful woman with a cold expression. Both of them exuded the powerful Tao connotation of the Hun Tian realm, but their cultivation was suppressed to the peak of the Yin-Yang realm stage 9. Tang Ao secretly thought that it was a pity. Heavenly treasures were ownerless items, and anyone had the right to obtain them. If Tang Ao were at Yin-Yang realm level 4 instead of astral reaching realm level 4, then Tang Ao would definitely be able to attack and rob it, then use the transportation array to escape. Unfortunately, Tang Ao was only at the 4th level of the astral reaching realm. Once Tang Ao got close to the fruit, Tang Ao was sure that the two guys in the air would definitely attack him. Fairy Green Jade, this frigid ice Tao fruit doesn't match your Tao of plants. Why don't you give it to me? You can name the price. In midair, the white-haired Hua Chongjiu naturally saw Tang Ao and Huang Qir. However, to Hua Chongjiu, who was at the peak of the 9th level of the turbid heaven stage, Tang Ao and Huang Qir were just two insignificant ants. Even if Hua Chongjiu suppressed his cultivation to the 9th level of the Yin-Yang realm, he could still kill the two with a wave of his hand. If this were not the desolate martial realm, Hua Chongjiu would not waste time talking to Wen Qingyu. Although Wen Qingyu also had the cultivation of the chaotic heaven realm, she was only at the 3rd level of the chaotic heaven realm. However, in the desolate martial realm, with the suppression of the heavenly law, Hua Chongjiu and Wen Qingyu could only use the peak of the 9th level of the Yin-Yang realm. Chapter 2547. The life-gathering stone was very ordinary, but when these three words appeared together, it was an extremely terrifying thing. The life-gathering stone was formed by extracting a large amount of souls and vitality from living beings. The more souls and vitality a living being had, the higher the quality and size of the fused life-gathering stone would be. Because the souls were extracted alive and fused into the life-gathering stone, these living beings that had their souls extracted didn't even have the chance to be reincarnated. The life-gathering stone only had one function, and that was to use powerful resentment to suppress the Tao fruit's Tao reserve. Tang Ao's gaze focused, and he noticed that there were 3 gray crystals that were half the height of a human around the icy Tao fruit on the nearby lake. With just a glance, countless resentful souls howled and wailed in Tang Ao's mind. If it wasn't for Tang Ao's firm state of mind, he would have already been lost within them. Huang Qir, who was by Tang Ao's side, was panting heavily with lingering fear. Obviously, Huang Qir had seen the life-gathering stone earlier as well. At this moment, the life-gathering stone was surrounded by countless resentful souls, and the Tao reserve barrier formed around the icy Tao fruit was constantly being corroded by the powerful resentment of these resentful souls. Once the resentment of the life-gathering stone completely melted the Tao reserve barrier, anyone would be able to obtain this Tao fruit. Normally speaking, although ordinary Tao fruits contained powerful Tao reserves of the heavens and the earth, their Tao reserves wouldn't be strong to the extent of condensing a Tao reserve barrier. Only top-rate godly king Tao fruits like the icy Tao fruit would be able to form such a Tao reserve barrier. There were only 2 ways to break open a Tao reserve barrier. One was to use Tao arts of the same origin to ceaselessly assimilate and absorb it before finally breaking open the Tao reserve barrier. There was another way, which was to use methods like the life-gathering stone. Of course, there was also a third way, and that was to use brute force to break open the Tao reserve barrier. However, only godly king realm experts were able to break open the Tao reserve barrier with brute force. At the godly king realm, there was naturally no need for Tao fruit. Thus, no one cared about the third method. Just when Tang Ao was looking at the icy Tao fruit with a myriad of thoughts in his mind, Tang Ao received a voice transmission from Wen Qingyu. "I don't care who you are. When the Dao accumulation barrier around the ice Dao fruit is broken by the condensed petrification, you must seize the ice Dao fruit at the first possible moment. I will do my best to delay Hua Chongjiu. If you don't act, then once Hua Chongjiu obtains the frigid ice Dao fruit, I will immediately kill you. Tang Ao had seen many beautiful women, but there weren't many who could compare to Wen Qingyu in terms of appearance. Previously, when he heard the conversation between Wen Qingyu and Hua Chongjiu, Tang Ao felt that Wen Qingyu was a very righteous woman. It was because Hua Chongjiu had indiscriminately slaughtered the innocent that Wen Qingyu attacked him. But Wen Qingyu's words just now made Tang Ao's heart sink. As long as Tang Ao didn't try to snatch the icy ice Dao fruit, then once the icy ice Dao fruit fell into Hua Chongjiu's hands, Wen Qingyu would immediately kill him. Wasn't this the same as disregarding life and willfully slaughtering the innocent? But towards Wen Qingyu's words, Tang Ao didn't dare be careless. Because when Tang Ao and Huang Qir arrived at this place, this expansive space had already been sealed off by Wen Qingyu and Hua Chongjiu. Obviously, both of them were worried that Tang Ao had a top-grade spatial escape talisman on him. While the two of them were fighting, Tang Ao would seize the icy ice Dao fruit and flee. Chapter 2548. Back then, Hua Chongjiu returned in defeat on the heavenly Dao platform. On the way back, Hua Chongjiu smashed a low-level continent into pieces in a fit of rage. The billions of living beings on the continent instantly turned to dust. That continent was the continent where Wen Qingyu was. However, Wen Qingyu had the 9th-grade Heart Lotus to protect her, which allowed her to escape the calamity. Thousands of years later, Wen Qingyu, who survived the calamity, cultivated successfully. However, after Wen Qingyu cultivated to the celestial turbid realm, she discovered that her enemy was the famous hypocrite of the true martial realm, Hua Chongjiu. Most importantly, this hypocrite was now at the peak of the 9th level of the celestial turbid realm. She was not his match at all. If Hua Chongjiu obtained this divine monarch Dao fruit again this time, it was unknown how many living beings in the true martial realm would suffer. If it was in the past, with Wen Qingyu's personality, no matter what the matter was, no matter what the other party's cultivation was, as long as she had a request of others, she would definitely discuss it with them in a pleasant manner. However, Wen Qingyu had been deceived too many times by doing this. This time, it was a treasure as important as the divine monarch Dao fruit. Therefore, Wen Qingyu did not communicate with Tang Ao properly. Instead, she threatened Tang Ao. However, Wen Qingyu never expected that her luck would be so bad. This time, she encountered a Tang Ao who only listened to flattery and ignored other people's threats. Just now, Tang Ao wanted to completely stay out of this matter and not have any designs on this icy Dao fruit. But now, Tang Ao changed his mind. Although this space was sealed, the two people who sealed this space could only exert a cultivation at the peak of the yin-yang realm at the moment. Therefore, as long as Huang Qir summoned Cain with Cain's strength, he could easily tear apart this level of spatial seal. At that time, with the help of Tang Ao's transmission array, Tang Ao and Huang Qir could directly escape with the icy Dao fruit. Of course, Tang Ao did not intend to keep the icy Dao fruit. Tang Ao did not know any top-notch expert. After Tang Ao obtained the icy Dao fruit, he had two choices. One was to give it to Wu Lian. Why would the Chamber of Commerce of the Immortal Ruins spend so much effort to cultivate warriors on the Hidden Dragon list and the Hero list? Moreover, the Chamber of Immortal Ruin only wanted ordinary Dao fruit. If Tang Ao handed over the godly monarch Dao fruits to the Chamber of Immortal Ruin, it should be possible for him to gain protection from the Chamber of Immortal Ruin. However, Tang Ao did not know how strong Hua Chongjiu was. If Hua Chongjiu was an ordinary chaotic heaven stage expert, then the Chamber of Immortal Ruins would definitely protect him. However, if Hua Chongjiu's cultivation base was too strong for the Chamber of Immortal Ruins to contend against, then Tang Ao would definitely die if he was hunted down by a celestial turbid realm expert. Tang Ao had another choice, which was to bring the icy Dao fruit back to the demon sealing tombstone. The godly monarch Dao fruit could allow an ordinary peak celestial turbid realm expert to continue breaking through to the godly monarch realm. The blood demon Cain in the demon sealing tombstone was a demigod expert above the celestial turbid realm. This icy Dao fruit might not be able to help Cain break through to the godly monarch realm. As long as it could help Cain break through the seal and recover his cultivation base, then Hua Chongjiu would be courting death. Tang Ao had already decided that once he succeeded, he would immediately head to the demon sealing tombstone and give it to Cain after snatching the icy Dao fruit. As for the consequences of releasing Cain from the demon sealing tombstone, it was not within Tang Ao's scope of consideration. He would lose his life, so how could he be in the mood to think so much? Little brother, don't listen to this demoness nonsense. The 3 life-gathering stones you saw were condensed by this demoness. This old man was greedy just now, which is why I offered to trade with her. You must not touch this icy Dao fruit. Wait until this old man takes down this demoness, then I'll immediately give you 2 a fortune. Hua Chongjiu was not afraid of Tang Ao snatching the icy Dao fruit, but he was worried that Tang Ao would harden his heart and destroy the icy Dao fruit. If there was the protection of the Dao accumulation boundary, then there would naturally be no need to worry. However, the Dao accumulation boundary had already been broken by his life-gathering stones. Without the protection of the Dao accumulation boundary, it would not be impossible for Tang Ao to destroy the icy Dao fruit with his 4th-level astral-reaching realm cultivation base. Hua Chongjiu did not dare to gamble. He had cultivated for 1,800,000 years, and more than half of his time had been spent at the peak celestial turbid realm. Although Hua Chongjiu was only at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm stage 9, the powerful techniques he displayed were not inferior to those of a chaotic sky realm powerhouse. Although Hua Chongjiu was a hypocrite, his strength was still very domineering. Senior brother Tang Ao, I'm ready. Huang Qir nodded and looked vigilantly at the frost Dao fruit not far away. At this moment, an ice flower had formed on the frost Dao fruit's tree, and within the ice flower was a fruit. This fruit was the frost Dao fruit. Tang Ao estimated that it wouldn't be long before the Dao reserve barrier around the frost Dao fruit completely collapsed. That would be the best time for Tang Ao to make his move. Although Hua Chongjiu had not had a chance to make his move, Tang Ao could still clearly feel that Hua Chongjiu had an extremely strong killing intent towards him and Huang Qir. Chapter 2550. Without Wen Qingyu going all out to restrain them, there was naturally no way for Tang Ao and Huang Qir to remain here unscathed. As he watched the 2 fight, Tang Ao considered his next course of action in his heart. Tang Ao knew that snatching the frost Dao fruit in this sort of situation was no different from snatching food from the jaws of a tiger. A moment of carelessness and he would be obliterated in both body and soul. If it were an ordinary treasure, Tang Ao would most likely have retreated by this time. But this time, he encountered the frost Dao fruit among the divine king Dao fruit. Martial artists with ice attribute pure spirit roots could use the frost Dao fruit to the greatest extent. Tang Ao possessed the 9 dragons Emperor Jade body. Compared to ice attribute pure spirit roots, it was only stronger and not weaker. But the chances of Tang Ao being able to obtain the frost Dao fruit was less than 1 in 10,000. Tang Ao did not have the intention of using this frost Dao fruit for himself either. Kacha. An indiscernible crisp sound transmitted out. Immediately, like a chain reaction, the Dao rune enchantment around the frost Dao fruit shattered with a loud bang at this moment. When Tang Ao took a step out, Hua Chongjiu similarly broke away from Wen Qingyu in midair, and smacked a palm down towards Tang Ao. Under Hua Chongjio's palm, Tang Ao's mind trembled, his body completely immobilized. Tang Ao felt that even the space around him seemed to be completely bound by Hua Chongjio at this moment. Not just Tang Ao, Huang Qir was the same. Furthermore, Huang Qir was not a body-tempering martial artist. Under Hua Chongjio's powerful pressure, a trace of blood appeared at the corner of Huang Qir's mouth. At this time, Huang Qir was the same as Tang Ao, completely immobilized. She did not have the ability to summon Cain out at all. Hua Chongjio's handprint arrived in an instant. Just as it was about to slam onto Tang Ao and Huang Qir, when Qingyu waved her jade-like hand. A 9th-grade lotus flower appeared above Tang Ao and Huang Qir's head, blocking Hua Chongjio's handprint. Bang! Hua Chongjio was overjoyed to see that when Qingyu had used the grade 9 lotus to save Tang Ao and Huang Qir. Earlier, because when Qingyu had the grade 9 lotus to protect her, Hua Chongjio had been unable to harm her. Now that when Qingyu had used the grade 9 lotus to protect Tang Ao and Huang Qir, when Qingyu was courting death, Hua Chongjio did not hesitate at all. Golden light blossomed from his hand as an overbearing palm strike landed on Wen Qingyu. However, Wen Qingyu was also decisive. Even at the risk of being seriously injured by Hua Chongjio, she still pierced the sword in her hand through Hua Chongjio's body. In an instant, half of Hua Chongjio's body was covered in frost. However, when she saw this sword, Wen Qingyu's eyes were filled with deep disappointment. This was because Wen Qingyu's sword had originally been aimed at Hua Chongjio's heart. If that had happened, she would have been able to kill Hua Chongjio even if she had been heavily injured. However, Wen Qingyu had not expected that Hua Chongjio would be able to avoid being hit in the vitals. All of this sounded complicated, but it actually happened in the time it takes for a spark to fly off a flint. After seriously injuring Wen Qingyu with the Golden Lightning Seal Art, Hua Chongjio immediately pursued. Wen Qingyu was the biggest variable, and she knew something she should not have known. Hua Chongjio wanted to use this opportunity to make Wen Qingyu stay here forever. Hua Chongjio, you don't want your Frost Dao fruit anymore? However, before Hua Chongjio could approach Wen Qingyu, Tang Ao's voice sounded out. As Tang Ao's voice spread out, the demon-slaying axe in Tang Ao's hand also chopped at the Frost Dao fruit with a tyrannical aura. It was as though he wanted to chop the Frost Dao fruit into pieces. Chapter 25:51. Therefore, after Hua Chongjio sent a palm strike at Wen Qingyu, his figure flashed, and he flew towards the Frost Dao fruit. Even though Hua Chongjio's palm strike was just a casual strike, Wen Qingyu didn't have the ability to resist at all. Hua Chongjio's Golden Lightning Seal Art had directly shattered half of her spiritual sea. After suffering another palm strike, Wen Qingyu spat out a mouthful of blood. Sensing Hua Chongjio's pursuit, Tang Ao's demon-slaying axe, which was originally aimed at the Frost Dao fruit, suddenly turned around and slashed at Hua Chongjio. However, what Tang Ao didn't expect was that Hua Chongjio would only sneer at his terrifying axe strike. "You're like a mantis trying to stop a chariot." With that, Hua Chongjio sent out a punch, and a powerful force flew out of his fist. Tang Ao felt that this terrifying fist wind was about to shatter him. When Tang Ao's demon-slaying axe collided with Hua Chongjio's fist wind, a terrifying force came through, and Tang Ao's demon-slaying axe flew out of his hand. Hua Chongjio's eyes were filled with disdain. He took a step forward, wanting to crush Tang Ao's throat. However, at this moment, Hua Chongjio suddenly felt danger behind him. It turned out that Wen Qingyu had used the last of her immortal spiritual power to control the grade 9 Lotus platform and attack Hua Chongjio. Hua Chongjio snorted coldly, turned around, and sent out a palm strike. As a golden light bloomed, it was Hua Chongjio's Golden Lightning Seal Art. Under the Golden Lightning Seal Art, Wen Qingyu's grade 9 Lotus platform wobbled and was sent flying back. when Qingyu spat out another mouthful of blood. However, at this moment, a blood-red array appeared on Huang Qir's body. Within this blood-red array, a vast and desolate aura swept out. Under this terrifying aura, Hua Chongjiu's Dao runes seemed to be diluted a little. What's that? Hua Chongjiu naturally noticed this terrifying aura. Immediately, two beams of golden light shot out from his eyes towards the blood-red fog on the array. Immediately after, Hua Chongjiu saw a terrifying sharp claw reach out from the formation and slam down on him. Tang Ao scanned with his soul psyche and found that because of the suppression of the desolate martial realm's heaven and earth rules, although Cain had a demigod aura in the demon sealing tablet, he could only unleash the cultivation of the peak of Yin-Yang realm level 9. Furthermore, what Huang Qir had summoned was not Cain's actual body. Instead, it was a clone. Even so, Cain's unexpected claw still struck Hua Chongjiu's lower abdomen fiercely. Soon after, Cain's gloomy voice said with some excitement, "The fruit of the way of frost. Dream on." After seeing Cain grab at the frost Dao fruit, Hua Chongjiu also made a move, grabbing at the frost Dao fruit. At the same time, the golden thunder seal in Hua Chongjiu's hand blasted toward Cain. Hua Chongjiu could sense that Cain was very powerful. However, Hua Chongjiu could naturally tell that the current Cain was merely a clone. If Cain's actual body was here, Hua Chongjiu would not dare to act rashly with the faint demigod aura that was spreading from Cain's body. However, since it was only a clone, there was nothing much to say. When Hua Chongjiu's golden thunder seal blasted out, there was also a huge blood-red palm print in Cain's palm. Chapter 2552. At this time, Cain's glabella suddenly split open, and a blood-colored spear flew out in an instant, directly roaring towards the ice Dao fruit. If Hua Chongjiu insisted on snatching the ice Dao fruit, then he would have to take Cain's attack head-on. Hua Chongjiu hesitated slightly, then took out a green flag and threw it behind him. His movements did not stop at all as he grabbed the ice Dao fruit. Hua Chongjiu's green flag unfurled in the wind, emitting tide-like ripples. These ripples gave people a feeling of indestructibility, but the protection of the green flag was like paper in front of Cain's blood spear. In just an instant, Cain's blood spear, which was engraved with countless ancient runes, pierced through the green flag, and then pierced Hua Chongjiu's abdomen without slowing down. After passing through Hua Chongjiu's abdomen, the ice Dao fruit in front of Hua Chongjiu was smashed into pieces. Hua Chongjiu felt a sharp pain, but at this time, he finally obtained the ice Dao fruit. Looking at Cain, who was full of murderous intent, and one Qingyu, who stood up shakily not far away, Hua Chongjiu knew that this was not a place to stay for long. Moreover, now that the ice Dao fruit was in his hands, what made Hua Chongjiu want to vomit blood was that Cain had smashed a piece of the ice Dao fruit. But even so, he could only come back to teach Cain a lesson in the future. At this moment, he was also quite injured. After a cold snort, Hua Chongjiu directly grabbed a white array flag. After a seal was formed, the space around Hua Chongjiu split open. The white array flag instantly wrapped around Hua Chongjiu, and then Hua Chongjiu disappeared into the spatial crack. After Hua Chongjiu disappeared, Cain's eyes were full of regret as he looked at the place where Hua Chongjiu disappeared. Then, Cain's figure also slowly dissipated. Huang Qir could indeed summon Cain now, but because Huang Qir's cultivation was limited, Cain's strength was also suppressed. Therefore, even if Cain was summoned by Huang Qir, he could only exist for 10 breaths of time. Tang Ao also secretly felt that it was a pity. In that situation, it would have been best if Cain could snatch the ice Dao fruit. But even if Cain could not snatch the frigid ice Dao fruit, destroying it would be good as well. Tang Ao already had a strong enemy like Primordial Magnetic Dao Master. Now that Hua Chongjiu had escaped with a piece of the ice Dao fruit that Cain had smashed, Tang Ao estimated that it would not be long before he had another powerful Dao Master enemy. Moreover, the frost fruit of Wei that Hua Chongjiu had taken away was not an ordinary fruit of Wei. Even if a piece of it had been destroyed, Hua Chongjiu still had the possibility of advancing to the God King realm. If Hua Chongjiu really broke through to God King, Tang Ao's death would come. At this time, Tang Ao also thought of Wen Qingyu. Although Wen Qingyu had threatened him previously, she had still saved him twice at crucial moments. If not for Wen Qingyu, Huang Qir would not have had the chance to summon Cain. When Tang Ao arrived at Wen Qingyu's side, he discovered that Wen Qingyu had already fainted. Tang Ao's sole remembrance swept over and his heart immediately trembled. Wen Qingyu's injuries were more serious than Tang Ao had imagined. At this moment, half of Wen Qingyu's spiritual sea had collapsed, and the vitality in her body was constantly fading. Chapter 2553. In the immortal ruin chamber of commerce, there were also chaotic sky realm warriors. Tang Ao thought that perhaps only chaotic sky realm warriors could dissolve the golden thunder palm power inside Wen Qingyu's body. If the golden thunder palm power was not dissolved, Wen Qingyu's life force would be exhausted soon, and her internal organs would dry up and she would die. However, with the blood race's blood source great formation, it would take another 10 days for the blood race's blood source great formation to weaken. However, Tang Ao estimated that even if he used all his strength, he could only make Wen Qingyu last for 3 days at most. Wen Qingyu had become like this in order to save him and Huang Qir. Therefore, no matter what, Tang Ao could not just watch her die. Tang Ao's mind raced, and he immediately started to recall the discussions of Shennong Emperor and Green Rock Pill Saint on similar issues. In the inherited memories of Shennong Emperor and Green Rock Pill Saint, Tang Ao found many similar cases. However, those enchantment methods all required a very high cultivation base. Tang Ao was only at the 4th level of astral reaching realm, so he could not use them at all. Senior brother Tang Ao, how is this sister? Huang Qir was right next to Tang Ao. Seeing the change in Tang Ao's expression, she asked anxiously. Hua Chongjiu's golden thunder Taoist rhyme is constantly wreaking havoc in her body, corroding her meridians and internal organs. If we cannot find a way to dissolve this kind of Taoist rhyme, then in 3 days, her life force will be exhausted, and her internal organs will dry up and she will die. Tang Ao was very helpless, but he could not watch Wen Qingyu die. Senior brother Tang Ao, what should we do? Should I call out the golden puppy and try? Huang Qir also knew that if Wen Qingyu had not saved her and Tang Ao, she and Tang Ao would have been killed by Hua Chongjiu. Therefore, Huang Qir did not want anything to happen to Wen Qingyu. It's useless. The golden thunder puppy's cultivation is still low, and it has not reached the level of Taoist rhyme. Since we can't contact the immortal ruins chamber of commerce, we can only take her to Cain. Let's return to the city of beasts first. Even though he had decided to look for Cain, Tang Ao still decided to teleport back to the city of beasts first. Although the clear spirit fish hadn't fallen yet, Huang Qir wasn't someone who didn't know what was important. The most important thing now was to save Wen Qingyu. Due to the teleportation array that Tang Ao had set up in advance, it was very troublesome for the two of them to come to the Clear Spirit Ice Lake. However, it was not easy for them to return. However, Tang Ao still set up a teleportation array at the Clear Spirit Ice Lake. If he wanted to come to the Clear Spirit Ice Lake in the future, he could use the teleportation array to get there quickly. Tang Ao and Huang Qir's departure did not attract anyone's attention. Moreover, when Tang Ao and Huang Qir returned, they returned directly through the teleportation formation. Naturally, they would not be discovered. Tang Ao did not bring Wen Qingyu to look for Cain immediately. It would take at least 12 hours to get to the demon sealing tablet from here. It would take 24 hours to go back and forth, which was 1 day. If Cain could dissolve the metal lightning Taoist rhyme in Wenqingyu's body, then everything would be fine. However, if Cain could not dissolve the metal lightning Taoist rhyme in Wenqingyu's body, then they would have wasted one day. In another 8 hours, Huang Qi would be able to summon Cain. When that time came, they could ask Cain directly. Chapter 2554. Tang Ao had only skimmed through the first 4 parts. As for the 5th part, Tang Ao hadn't had the time to read it yet. This time, Tang Ao jumped straight to the 5th part and started to read it. Tang Ao wanted to get some inspiration from Pil St. Greenrock's Inheritance Jade Slip. However, Pil St. Greenrock's Inheritance Jade Slip was so vast that Tang Ao hadn't even read 1,000th of the contents of the 5th part even though 8 hours had passed. However, after reading so much, Tang Ao still couldn't find a way to dispel the metal thunder Taoist rhyme in Wenqingyu's body. Or rather, there was a method that wasn't really a method. When 8 hours had passed, Huang Qi didn't need Tang Ao to remind her. She formed a few hand seals and an array appeared in her palm. Cain's figure also gradually appeared in the array. As Tang Ao knew that Cain's clone could only exist for 10 breaths, he immediately asked, "Senior Cain, can you dispel the metal thunder Taoist rhyme in her body?" Cain's clone was a little confused at first because this place was very safe. There was no need for Huang Qi to summon him. However, after hearing Tang Ao's words, Cain immediately understood what was going on. Cain immediately swept out with his soul psyche. After scanning Wenqingyu's body, Cain immediately said coldly, "Right now, my strength has been sealed by the demon sealing tombstone. My main body strength is not enough to fear this incarnation." After saying that, Cain's body flashed with a bloody light and he disappeared. Huang Qi had to pay 300 dark essence stones every time she summoned Cain. However, Cain didn't seem to want to stay for too long. After saying that, he left immediately. Tang Ao originally had this kind of worst-case scenario, but now that he heard it from Cain's own mouth, Tang Ao still felt very helpless. Cain's words could be true or false. However, it was obvious that Cain had no intention of helping Wenqingyu. Otherwise, even if Cain didn't have a way to dispel the metal thunder Taoist rhyme in Wenqingyu's body, Cain could have given him some pointers. But after Cain came to take a look, he immediately left. Tang Ao took a deep breath. At this time, Tang Ao still had one last method. This method was the one that Tang Ao had just mentioned, which wasn't really a method. The 9 Dragons Emperor Jade Body could refine all kinds of auras. The Tao of Metal Thunder went deep into Wenqingyu's blood. Therefore, Tang Ao thought of this method, which was to draw Wenqingyu's blood into his body, purify it with the 9 Dragons Emperor's Jade Body, and then draw it back into Wenqingyu's body. Tang Ao also knew that it was not appropriate to use this method to save people, and it was very dangerous. But in order to save people, Tang Ao couldn't care less. No matter what, Tang Ao couldn't watch Wenqingyu perish in front of him. Just as Tang Ao was about to make a move, a servant girl's voice came from outside Tang Ao's room. "Senior brother Tang Ao, this is bad. A lunatic has come to the city of beasts and is shouting for you and junior sister Kur." This servant girl had originally been in charge of taking care of Tang Ao's daily life. However, Tang Ao didn't need anyone to serve him, so the servant girl was happy to be idle and help guard the door in the hall outside for Tang Ao. Tang Ao placed Wenqingyu on the bed and walked out, puzzled. Tang Ao really couldn't understand who would be looking for him at this time. When Tang Ao and Huang Qi arrived at the square of the City of Beasts, they discovered that Song Qiufeng's guards had already been placed in disorder. Even the strongest person in the City of Beasts, Elder He, was guarding against the person in front of him from afar. Chapter 2555. When Tang Ao arrived at the plaza of the City of Beasts, Luo 11 also saw Tang Ao. Whether it was Tang Ao, Huang Qi, or Luo 11, None of them were wearing the black gold armor of the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce. The black gold armor was a rank 4 immortal weapon, which had more than enough defense. However, if one did not wear it often, it would only affect one's battle power. Moreover, at this time, wearing the black gold armor of the Chamber of Commerce of the Immortal Ruins was like a bright lamp in the dark. Under the bright lamp was a fat sheep. Whether it was the warriors of the Blood Clan or the desolate martial world, as long as there was a chance, they would take a bite. Therefore, as long as one was not too stupid, one would not take out the black gold armor to show off. "You are Tang Ao?" Luo 11 had never seen Tang Ao before. Although there was Tang Ao's image on his tag, he was not completely sure now that he had seen him. "Greetings, senior brother Luo." Hearing Luo 11's words, Tang Ao was naturally sure that the person in front of him was Luo 11. Tang Ao had also seen the video of Luo 11, and Luo 11's weapon was too unique. It was impossible not to know. At this moment, Luo 11's horrifying huge axe was stabbed into the ground. After coming to the City of Beasts, Luo 11 had not used this axe yet. "Seeing that your rank is still higher than mine, how about I spar with you?" Although Luo 11 used a negotiating tone, he had already pulled out the huge axe from the ground as he spoke. His whole body's aura exploded as he attacked towards Tang Ao. Sensing that Luo 11 had only used the cultivation of 4th level astral reaching realm, Tang Ao felt a bit of admiration. Although this Luo 11 was a bit strange, he was also very straightforward. Yi Chen was at the 4th level astral reaching realm, so he suppressed his cultivation to the 4th level to fight with him. Tang Ao's body shone with a golden light, and numerous golden symbols appeared instantly before merging into Tang Ao's body. The King Kong transformation was performed instantly. Without waiting for Tang Ao to make any extra movements, Luo 11's giant axe was already coming down. In the blink of an eye, it was already above Tang Ao's head. Tang Ao retreated rapidly, but the sharp force still left Tang Ao's cheeks in pain. This was under the protection of the Battle Sage Bone Life Soul and the casting of the Diamond Incarnation. Tang Ao could imagine that even in his current defensive state, he would definitely be in trouble if he was struck by Luo Shi's axe. If Luo Shi used his Yin-Yang Realm Stage 3 cultivation, Tang Ao would have no choice but to escape. However, right now, Luo Shi was only using his Astral Reaching Realm Level 4 cultivation to fight against Tang Ao. There was no reason for Tang Ao to lose. After Luo Shi attacked, an iron staff covered with strange runes appeared in Tang Ao's hand. This iron rod seemed to be made of black crystal. When light shone on it, it reflected countless rays of light. Tang Ao could tell that this axe of Luo Shi's was not easy to deal with. It would be too disadvantageous for him to fight with his bare hands. Therefore, Tang Ao did not hesitate and took out his sky-shattering godly needle. Dang! When Luo Shi attacked again, Tang Ao swept out his long rod. At the same time, the powerful celestial spirit power inside Tang Ao's body exploded completely. A powerful power that did not belong to an astral-reaching realm level 4 warrior had suddenly passed through Tang Ao's long rod and landed on Luo Shi's huge axe. Luo Shi, who was known for his power, was forced back a couple of steps by Tang Ao's rod attack. Chapter 2556. Previously, Tang Ao had not been able to force Luo Shi to use his immortal weapon. That was because Tang Ao and Luo Shi were both martial artists on the Hidden Dragons list. Luo Shi had not underestimated Tang Ao and had used his immortal weapon right from the start. However, Luo Shi realized that he had underestimated Tang Ao even though he had not underestimated Tang Ao. Alchemy Master Tang Ao's combat power is actually so strong. He actually forced that guy to retreat. Alchemy Master Tang Ao was able to defeat Yang Feng previously. It shows that he is not weak. Do you think that alchemy master Tang Ao is only good at alchemy? While Tang Ao and Luo Shi were fighting, more and more martial artists had gathered around. After all, Luo Shi had defeated all the martial artists on the 3 lists of the City of Beasts. Everyone wanted to know if Luo Shi could really be invincible in the City of Beasts. After seeing Tang Ao's performance, many people were secretly looking forward to it. In the square of the City of Beasts, Luo Shi was waving the giant axe in his hand. He did not pay attention to defense at all. Of course, when Luo Shi attacked like this, the opponent was usually the one defending, so there was no need for Luo Shi to defend. It was the same at the moment. Tang Ao had experienced countless battles since he started cultivating and had rich combat experience. However, Tang Ao was still at a disadvantage against Luo Shi. Tang Ao could also see that he had lost because of his immortal weapon. Luo Shi's Heaven Fault Axe was the immortal weapon that Luo Shi used all year round. However, his Sky-Raising Needle had always been his trump card. If it had been Tang Ao, he could have summoned 800 life souls and used the Sky-Raising Needle to fight against Luo Shi. However, trump cards were called trump cards because they were usually only used during life and death situations or when there was a major crisis. Now, Tang Ao was only sparring with Luo Shi. Of course, he could not use his trump card casually. Tang Ao suddenly swung his rod at Luo Shi. This strike was aimed at Luo Shi's face. Luo Shi's expression remained the same. Not only did he not defend, but he also swung his giant axe at Tang Ao's waist. With Luo Shi's speed, if Tang Ao did not stop his attack, he would definitely be cleaved in half. But this time, Tang Ao didn't stop. He just turned his staff and hit Luo Shi's wrist. According to Luo 11's plan, Tang Ao would definitely withdraw his attack and retreat. If Tang Ao did not retreat, he would withdraw his attack because Tang Ao had already lost. However, Luo 11 did not expect that from the beginning, Tang Ao's target was not him, but the giant axe in his hand. No matter how strong Luo Shi was, his wrist was still numb after being swept by the rod. The Heavenly Fault Axe in his hand also flew out at this moment. At this time, the God-Raising Needle in Tang Ao's hand also disappeared. At the same time, Tang Ao did not hesitate and directly smashed a punch. "All right, I will compete with you with my fists and feet." Luo Shi laughed carelessly. At the same time, he moved his body and rushed at Tang Ao, also throwing a punch. Bang! The 2 fists collided and a muffled sound was heard. Suddenly, there was an explosion of spiritual power and a violent aura spread. The surrounding warriors with low cultivation levels were obviously depressed, and their breaths were a little uncomfortable. After the forceful punch, Luo Shi took the initiative to launch a whip kick at Tang Ao. Luo Shi's Heavenly Fault Axe was powerful, but few people knew that Luo Shi's martial arts were not weak at all. Chapter 2557. Boom! Luo Shi kicked fiercely at Tang Ao's arms. Tang Ao shook his arms and shook Luo Shi's leg away. At the same time, Tang Ao stretched out his right hand and 2 fingers emitted a murderous light. It was Tang Ao's finger of extermination. Luo Shi leaped into the air and the 2 black lights from Tang Ao's fingertips followed closely. However, Luo Shi dodged them in the air. Then, the 2 black lights shot into the wall behind Luo Shi and created 2 bottomless holes. However, Luo Shi took this opportunity to use the Heavenly Fault Axe again. When Luo Shi chopped down with the Heavenly Fault Axe, hundreds of Thunderhand seals appeared behind Tang Ao. In an instant, the hundreds of Thunderhand seals became 1,000 Thunderhand seals. After feeling the sharp aura of the Thunderhand seals, the Heavenly Fault Axe in Luo Shi's hand suddenly expanded. Rays of golden light circulated around the Heavenly Fault Axe. Mountain Cleave. At this moment, Luo Shi's arms seemed to have become thicker. He swung the Heavenly Fault Axe with both hands and chopped down. The space below Luo Shi's axe made a cracking sound. It seemed like it could not withstand the terrifying power of the heavenly fault axe. Thunder Thousand Hand Seal. Tang Ao wasn't afraid at all. He formed several seals, and the thousands of hand seals around him converged into one, which Tang Ao blasted out with his palm. Everyone opened their eyes wide. No one wanted to miss this exciting scene. Shortly after, Tang Ao's thousand thunderous palm imprint and Luo Shi's mountain-cleaving chop collided. In an instant, a terrifying aura spread out in all directions, causing everyone in the square to lose their footing. At the center of the battle, cracks appeared in the space like a spider web. Although the cracks were constantly mending, there were too many of them. It was a shocking sight. A figure flew out and crashed into the city wall behind him. The cultivators on the city wall all felt an intense tremor. When they looked down, they saw that Tang Ao's body seemed to have been imprinted on the wall. However, Tang Ao had a smile on his face. "Senior brother Luo, you lost." "Ahem, don't worry. I'm not a sore loser." Tang Ao's words caused everyone to feel strange. Tang Ao was clearly sent flying out of the square by Luo Shi. How did Luo Shi lose? However, after hearing Luo Shi's reply, everyone was shocked and curious about how Luo Shi had lost. Of course, there were also people who were able to see what had just happened. The second Tang Ao and Luo Shi clashed. Luo Shi had used his 7th level astral reaching realm cultivation to defend against Tang Ao's attack. Therefore, Luo Shi had naturally lost. "I originally came to find trouble with you, but your current strength is worthy of your ranking. You just cultivated a bit late. If you had the same cultivation level as us, maybe your ranking would be even higher." Luo Shi's character was the same as his heavenly fault axe, resolute and open and aboveboard. Tang Ao's spiritual power shook and the stones around him instantly shattered. Tang Ao also jumped down. Then, Tang Ao said, "Luo Shi is straightforward and upright. I admire him. I wonder if I could invite senior brother Luo for a drink or two." Hearing Tang Ao's words, Luo Shi sized up Tang Ao, then nodded and asked, "Do you have any good wine? I am a very picky person. If there is no good wine, I will not drink." Luo Shi had said that he would not drink if there was no good wine. However, looking at the drunk Luo Shi on the table, Tang Ao knew that this senior brother Luo was a drunkard, and a drunkard who could not hold his liquor well. Tang Ao admitted that Luo Shi was a straightforward person. However, when it came to drinking, Luo Shi had lied. Tang Ao had taken out a total of 6 immortal wines. Apart from the first, which was not bad, the other 5 could only be considered ordinary. However, whether it was the best immortal wine or ordinary immortal wine, Luo Shi drank it in large gulps, not caring about the taste in the slightest. In the past, Tang Ao only thought that Luo Shi was straightforward. Now, Tang Ao thought that Luo Shi was interesting. Tang Ao thought that Luo Shi was interesting, and Luo Shi thought that Tang Ao was interesting too. At this moment, Luo Shi was drunk and said, "Just now, you deliberately lured me to fight with you. I knew that, but I fell for it. I was going easy on you." "Ha!" Tang Ao raised his cup and took a sip. Then, he laughed and shook his head. "Wrong. You are at Yin-Yang Realm Stage 3. Although you suppressed your cultivation to fight with me, you couldn't put down your pride. Just now, I sent the heavenly fault axe flying. Even if you wanted to take it back, I wouldn't have given you the chance." Chapter 2558. If these 6 immortal wines were drunk separately, Luo Shi would be fine with his Yin-Yang realm cultivation. But after mixing them together, even Luo Shi couldn't handle it. Unlike Luo Shi, Tang Ao only drank one type of immortal wine from the beginning to the end, the worst kind of immortal wine. Therefore, Tang Ao was still very sober. Tang Ao wanted to get drunk too, but Tang Ao couldn't get drunk because Wen Qingyu was still waiting for Tang Ao to save her. Senior brother Tang Ao, the immortal herbs are ready, Huang Qi said softly as she poked her head in and looked at the unconscious Luo Shi. Tang Ao nodded. Let's go and see Miss One. Wen Qingyu lay on the bed with her eyes closed. Because Hua Chongzhou's golden lightning seal art aura was wreaking havoc in her body, her face was as pale as a sheet. Because Tang Ao's jade bones life soul was in Wen Qingyu's body, Wen Qingyu's life force was barely suppressed. But this was only temporary. Once the golden lightning seal art aura eroded Wen Qingyu's organs and meridians, even the jade bones life soul wouldn't be able to suppress Wen Qingyu's life force. Of course, Tang Ao didn't want to see this happen. Therefore, Tang Ao decided to use the Nine Dragons Emperor Jade Body to fight Hua Chongzhou's golden lightning Dao aura. Martial artists with the Nine Dragons Emperor Jade Body were favored by the heavens. They had a clear sense of all kinds of heaven and earth law Dao aura. Therefore, Tang Ao could get twice the results with half the effort in alchemy, blacksmithing, array formation, and all kinds of technique. In Tang Ao's body, the Nine Dragons Emperor Jade Body formed a distinct spiritual sea and soul sea. It was like yin and yang, endless. One had to know that even if ordinary martial artists cultivated to the Dao master level, they would only have endless immortal spiritual energy in their spiritual sea. There wouldn't be a soul sea in their body. This was a fight between the Nine Dragons Emperor Jade Body and the Golden Lightning Dao aura. It could also be considered a fight between Tang Ao and Hua Chongzhou. If the Nine Dragons Emperor Jade Body's Dao aura couldn't refine Hua Chongzhou's Golden Lightning Dao aura. If the Nine Dragons Emperor Jade Body's Dao aura couldn't refine Hua Chongzhou's Golden Lightning Dao aura, not only would Tang Ao not be able to save Wen Qingyu, but he would also be. Refining Wen Qingyu's Golden Dao aura wasn't an easy task. Ao had to be prepared. It was not an easy task to refine the Taoist rhyme of the metal lightning in Wen Qingyu's body. He had to be fully prepared. Wen Qingyu had saved Tang Ao and Huang Qi, so Tang Ao had to save her as well. However, Tang Ao knew that Wen Qingyu and Hua Chongzhou were both chaotic sky realm experts. If even Wen Qingyu couldn't resist Hua Chongzhou's metal lightning Dao, it was obvious that Hua Chongzhou's metal lightning Dao was extremely powerful. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the floor of Tang Ao's room had been engraved with countless mysterious defensive arrays. Tang Ao took out a large number of immortal crystals from his storage ring and sprinkled them. Immediately, the formation on the ground released a dazzling white light. The yin-yang inverse blood formation had been set up. There were 2 array cores in the yin-yang inverse blood formation. These 2 array cores were where Tang Ao and Wen Qingyu sat. Tang Ao carried Wen Qingyu and sat down cross-legged in one of the array cores. Tang Ao took a deep breath and walked into the other array core. As Tang Ao sat down cross-legged, countless white runes rose from the array. The immortal spiritual energy within Tang Ao's body was also extremely active. Chapter 2559. In an instant, Tang Ao's expression changed drastically. In an instant, a streak of golden thunder Dao runes flowed through their palms and into Tang Ao's body. At this moment, Tang Ao felt as if 10,000 insects were gnawing at his heart. He felt as if his bones were constantly being smashed and his meridians were being incessantly burned. So powerful! Tang Ao took a deep breath and said in a low voice. He had only guided a streak of golden thunder Dao runes into his body, yet it was already so painful. One could only imagine how much pain Wen Qingyu was in. This wasn't the first time Tang Ao had encountered a chaotic sky realm powerhouse. However, as Tang Ao's understanding of chaotic sky realm powerhouses deepened, Tang Ao realized how terrifying they were. As this streak of golden thunder Dao runes wreaked havoc in Tang Ao's body, Tang Ao's Nine Dragons Emperor Jade Body suddenly emitted a sacred, ancient, and gentle white light. This white light continuously gathered in Tang Ao's body and gradually formed a white flame above Tang Ao's spiritual sea in his dantian. This flame was like Tang Ao's flame of life. The Taoist rhymes of the golden thunder immediately howled and engulfed the wisp of flame after sensing the fluctuation of the flame. Tang Ao was caught off guard and the flame was bitten by the golden thunder Tao runes. Just one bite caused Tang Ao's face to turn pale and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Tang Ao didn't dare to be careless and immediately calmed himself down. Tang Ao knew that this white flame wasn't the flame of life, but the Tao fire condensed by the 9 dragons' Emperor Jade body. However, Tang Ao's cultivation level was too low and his understanding of the heaven-earth law Tao runes was far inferior to Hua Chongjiu's. That was why Hua Chongjiu's Metal Thunder Taoist rhyme had succeeded in its sneak attack. At that moment, Tang Ao calmed his mind and began to control the flame with all his might. The Metal Thunder Taoist rhyme did not continue to attack the flame. Instead, it circled around it. When Tang Ao's mind was completely immersed in this wisp of flame, Tang Ao saw images. Many of the demonic beasts and immortal herbs in these images had been extinct for God knows how many years. As for the people in the images, Tang Ao did not recognize any of them. However, Tang Ao could clearly feel that any one of these people on the screen, like Hua Chongjiu, was just an ant in front of them. These people seemed to be talking to each other, but Tang Ao could not hear a single word. Although Tang Ao didn't know any of these people, Tang Ao saw something familiar. Tang Ao saw the Primal Chaos Hexagram Mirror. At that moment, the Primal Chaos Hexagram Mirror was hanging on the body of a man with an extraordinary aura. This man's aura was powerful, and just by standing there, he seemed like a ruler for life. The Tao runes around him were even more shocking. It was as though he could cause the sky and earth to crumble and the mountains and rivers to roll back with just a lift of his hand. Besides the Primal Chaos Hexagram Mirror, Tang Ao also saw the Primordial Sacred Sky Bow, the Tai Ching Mystic Mirror, the Heaven-Raising Divine Needle, and many other treasures that Tang Ao had not seen before. These treasures were either Grade 9 immortal weapons or Khanate or postnatal divine weapons. It was not hard to imagine that the people in this image were the strongest of the strongest. At that moment, a wisp of white candle flame appeared in this space. After sensing this wisp of candle flame, an expert with a black face and blue eyes slammed his palm down mercilessly, as though he wanted to kill Tang Ao. Chapter 2560. The first image came to an abrupt end. Other than knowing that such a group of top-notch experts had once existed in this world, Tang Ao did not know anything else. At the same time, Tang Ao did not understand why such an image would appear in the candle flame of the 9 dragons' Emperor Jade body. However, Tang Ao was still very satisfied that he had refined a trace of golden thunder Tao runes from this image. There were many more such images in the candle flame. However, given Tang Ao's cultivation level, it was not easy for him to open these image fragments. With a thought, Tang Ao drew out a few more golden thunder Taoist rhymes from Wen Qingyu's body. Under Tang Ao's control, these golden thunder Taoist rhymes directly collided with the candle flame. Before they could devour Tang Ao's candle flame, Tang Ao had already guided these golden thunder Tao runes into the image fragments. Tang Ao saw another image. This image was not connected to the previous one. The space this image was in was very special. In fact, Tang Ao felt that there was no concept of space and time in this place. Everything was forbidden. Only these godly king realm experts seemed to be fighting for something. It was exactly as Tang Ao had imagined. After the golden thunder Tao runes were guided into the image fragments by Tang Ao, they could not withstand a single blow from the Tao runes of the godly king realm experts. The more it was like this, the more Tang Ao wanted to know what these godly king realm experts were fighting for. Tang Ao could roughly deduce that the man wearing the chaotic hexagram mirror was the first owner of the chaotic hexagram mirror, the chaotic godly king. Tang Ao could not figure out what such a person was fighting for with the other experts in this place. However, this second image was extremely short. Even with Tang Ao's strength, he could not see clearly what was happening. What Tang Ao saw was a powerful magical technique that could destroy heaven and earth. Fortunately, the place where they were fighting had neither the sky nor the earth. Tang Ao had never heard of a place like this. That place was very similar to the void between the martial world and the martial world. However, there was space in the void as well. However, Tang Ao couldn't sense the fluctuation of space there, nor could he sense the flow of time. A treasure that could exist in such a place would definitely be extraordinary. Given Tang Ao's cultivation base, opening a fragment like this was already his limit. However, because there were so many metal lightning Taoist runes, Tang Ao was able to take advantage of this opportunity to see what was inside the fragment. When Tang Ao tried to draw out the Taoist rhyme of metal lightning from Wen Qingyu's body once again, Tang Ao spat out another mouthful of blood. Even though the metal lightning Taoist rhyme was directed by Tang Ao to attack the fragment in the white candle flame, the metal lightning Taoist rhyme would still flow into Tang Ao's body. Even though Tang Ao's great desolate indestructible body had reached the Yuan body level, he still couldn't take it. Even so, Tang Ao could only grit his teeth and persevere. Even if Tang Ao did not want to see these fragments, Tang Ao had to save Wen Qingyu. As the metal lightning Taoist rhyme surged in, the fragment continued to be blasted away by the metal lightning Taoist rhyme. This time, Tang Ao finally saw what these experts were fighting for. It was a fruit that shone with a 9-colored radiance. Chapter 2561. One of the godly monarchs wearing a red lotus robe glanced at the eternal Tao fruit with some regret. With a wave of his hand, a spatial rift appeared in front of him. This godly monarch chose to leave right away. This was because his injuries were not light. Although he was still alive, he clearly could not obtain the eternal Tao fruit if he continued to stay here. This godly monarch had some ties with Tang Ao. This was because this godly monarch's Dharma artifact was the Khanate Chaos Cauldron that Tang Ao rarely used. After this godly monarch left, the rest of the godly monarchs made their moves to snatch the eternal Tao fruit that shone with 9-colored divine light. Under everyone's powerful sorcery, the eternal Tao fruit finally shattered. Tang Ao saw 9 thick divine lights, 36 divine lights of different sizes, and countless tiny divine lights fly out. Following that, Tang Ao saw a scene that shocked him speechless. This was because the 36 divine lights were ignored by the godly monarch powerhouses. As they intertwined with each other, they actually turned into the 36 levels of the boundless universe. Tang Ao had never imagined that the 36 levels of the life soul would actually come about like this. Following that, Tang Ao saw a tiny stream of light transform and quickly turn into a Khanate fire origin aura. There were more than 10 million such tiny streams of light in this place. Tang Ao did not continue looking at these tiny streams of light. Instead, he looked at the 9 most dazzling divine lights. After looking for a long time, Tang Ao finally knew what this was. This was the 9 heaven Tao laws of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, ice, and darkness. Tang Ao also finally understood why there were fragments of these scenes in the white candle flame. This was because this white candle flame was the fire Tao law. At this thought, Tang Ao's entire body trembled. In the scene, the fire Tao law was subdued by a godly monarch powerhouse. This godly monarch powerhouse was surrounded by a netherworld aura. Needless to say, Tang Ao also knew that this godly monarch definitely had a relationship with him. However, before Tang Ao could see more, the scene disappeared again. Although the scene disappeared, Tang Ao's heart could not calm down for a long time. His body actually possessed one of the 9 great Tao laws of heaven and earth, the Tao law of fire. However, Tang Ao didn't know what had happened to the fire Tao law. Even the puny metal lightning Tao law dared to bite the fire Tao law. Tang Ao also tried to communicate with or control the candle flame, but the results were minimal. Tang Ao realized that although he could communicate with this candle flame, he couldn't use the fire Tao law to do anything. However, Tang Ao seemed to have absorbed enough Taoist rhymes of the golden lightning, and some strange runes appeared in his mind. These runes were so profound that Tang Ao couldn't understand what they were. After calming his mind, Tang Ao continued to guide the metal lightning Taoist rhyme in Wen Qingyu's body. However, this time, Tang Ao could not see anything in the candlelight. There were still many image fragments in the candlelight, but Tang Ao couldn't open them no matter what. 3 days later, the aura on Tang Ao's body was extremely chaotic. After extracting the last trace of metal lightning Taoist rhyme from Wen Qingyu's body, Tang Ao spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, he blacked out. For the past 3 days, Tang Ao had been repeating the same thing, extracting the metal lightning Taoist rhyme from Wen Qingyu's body and refining it with the candlelight. He wanted to see if he could open the image fragments and see something else. However, to Tang Ao's disappointment, after completely extracting the metal lightning Taoist rhyme from Wen Qingyu's body, Tang Ao could not see anything. Chapter 2562. No! Wen Qingyu cried out in alarm, and then she suddenly sat up. Then, she discovered that the corrosive gold thunder Taoist rhyme in her body had disappeared. She soon realized that something was wrong. Her hand was actually holding onto Tang Ao's hand, and there was a flickering formation around them. This is... Wen Qingyu closed her eyes and sensed something. After a while, she opened her eyes, which were filled with disbelief. At this moment, she already understood what had happened. But, it was precisely because she knew what had happened that she could not believe it. Since she started cultivating, she had experienced lies, betrayals, and schemes. She had been disappointed time and time again, to the point of numbness. But this time, Tang Ao had actually saved her. Although she did not know what secrets Tang Ao's body had, she knew that no matter how special Tang Ao's body was, Tang Ao was only at the 4th level of the astral reaching realm. Taking on Hua Chongzhou's gold thunder Taoist rhyme would still be a narrow escape. She wondered if good people really had good karma. Tang Ao had saved her. Although his Yuan Qi had been greatly damaged, Tang Ao's life was not in danger. After taking another deep look at Tang Ao, Wen Qingyu took off a jade pendant from her neck and put it in Tang Ao's hand. This jade pendant was a supreme treasure. At the same time, through this jade pendant, Tang Ao could also find Wen Qingyu. Although Wen Qingyu also wanted to thank Tang Ao in person, she could not wait for Tang Ao to wake up right now. She had more important things to do. Hua Chongzhou's gold thunder Taoist rhyme had injured her, and her ice Taoist rhyme had also frozen half of Hua Chongzhou's spiritual sea. Moreover, Wen Qingyu saw that Hua Chongzhou had been severely injured by a demonic creature when he was escaping. Right now, Hua Chongzhou must have suffered even more injuries. Although Hua Chongzhou had finally clenched his teeth and rushed out of the desolate martial realm, Wen Qingyu was sure that Hua Chongzhou must be hiding somewhere nearby to heal. Given Hua Chongzhou's current state, it was impossible for him to return to the Grand Heaven realm. Hua Chongzhou's injuries were so severe that even an ordinary chaotic heaven stage powerhouse could kill him. This was the best time to kill Hua Chongzhou. If Hua Chongzhou missed this opportunity, he would have to kill Tang Ao and Wen Qingyu after he refined the Frost Dao fruit and became a Dao master or even a divine king. When Hua Chongzhou was in the celestial chaos realm, countless creatures had suffered. If Hua Chongzhou cultivated to the Dao Master realm, or even the Divine King realm, no one knew what would happen. Wen Qingyu waved her long sleeves and a spatial crack appeared in front of her. After taking a deep look at Tang Ao, Wen Qingyu's figure flashed, and she stepped into the void crack. Ever since Wen Qingyu started cultivating, countless geniuses had fallen for her due to her unparalleled talent and peerless beauty. However, Wen Qingyu was disdainful because she could see what these people were thinking. But when it came to Tang Ao, Wen Qingyu found that no matter how she looked at him, he was just a cloud of fog or a ray of light. She could feel the long-lost warmth, but she could not see through Tang Ao. Chapter 2563. Just as Tang Ao was about to put the jade pendant away, Tang Ao suddenly felt a familiar fluctuation from the jade pendant. However, no matter what, Tang Ao could not imagine where he had felt this kind of fluctuation before. Confused, Tang Ao probed the jade pendant with his soul remembrance. However, Tang Ao didn't expect that this jade pendant couldn't be probed with soul remembrance. Tang Ao immediately activated his heavenly polar pupils. However, under Tang Ao's heavenly polar pupils, he could only see a cloud of fog. He didn't know what this jade pendant was. After pondering for a moment, Tang Ao put the jade pendant away properly. Although he didn't know what this jade pendant was, Tang Ao could faintly feel Wen Qingyu's soul remembrance fluctuation from this jade pendant. Tang Ao knew that with this jade pendant, he might be able to find Wen Qingyu. Although Tang Ao had awakened, Tang Ao's soul remembrance and immortal spiritual power were still empty. Tang Ao took out 2 recovery pills and consumed them. He started to recover his immortal spiritual power. While Tang Ao was recovering his immortal spiritual power, outside the city of beasts, a luxuriously decorated flying spirit boat flew through the sky. Standing in front of the flying spirit boat was Huang Tianxing, who had been here twice before. However, there was another person in front of Huang Tianxing. This person looked similar to Huang Tianxing, but his aura was much stronger than Huang Tianxing's. This person had a strand of silver hair hanging down from the left side of his forehead. There was a short blade at his waist. He wore a silver robe and looked extraordinary. He was Huang Tianxing's second brother, Huang Yuechen. There were 2 other people beside Huang Yuechen. One of them Tang Ao had seen before. It was Wei Chu, who had come to the city of beasts previously. The other person looked similar to the escaped Yang Feng, but his aura was much stronger than Yang Feng's. This person was one of the top 10 experts of the Heaven Star City, Yang Tianxing. The reason Yang Feng didn't come this time wasn't because Yang Feng was afraid of Huang Tianxing's punishment when he fled, but because Yang Feng couldn't come. After Yang Feng escaped, Huang Tianxing had sent martial artists to search for him. Huang Tianxing's men had also found Yang Feng. However, when Huang Tianxing found Yang Feng, it was a cold corpse. The fatal wound on Yang Feng's body was a sword wound. A sword had slit his throat. Tang Ao was the only one in the vicinity who was able to do this. Although he didn't know what happened to Yang Feng, Yang Feng's death had made Tang Ao suspicious. Is this the place? Yang Tianxing's tone was calm, without any emotion. Brother Yang, this is the city of beasts. Among all the martial artists here who use swords, only Tang Ao from the city of beasts had the power to kill Brother Yang Feng. Brother Yang Feng had fought with Tang Ao twice and lost both times. Huang Tianxing could order Yang Feng around like a slave, but when it came to Yang Tianxing, Yang Feng didn't dare to show any disrespect. Yang Feng was only a normal astral reaching stage 9 expert, but Yang Tianxing was one of the top 10 experts of the Heaven Star City. Even if he was the 3rd child of the Heaven Star City, he couldn't be too presumptuous. That Tang Ao is a yin-yang realm warrior? Hearing that Yang Feng had lost to Tang Ao, Yang Tianxing said calmly. Tang Ao is only a astral reaching stage 4 warrior. Even after all this time, he would not be able to reach astral reaching stage 5. Huang Tianxing didn't say anything, but Lu Kuan-yang did. Chapter 2564. If one were to say that Yang Feng had fought against Tang Ao with such a huge disparity in cultivation base, and Yang Feng had lost 2 battles, then would it mean that Tang Ao was a peerless martial genius, and Yang Feng was trash? Yang Feng was Yang Tianxing's younger brother. Yang Feng had a lot of problems, but he had trained quite hard. Adding on his martial talent, it wouldn't be long before he broke through to the yin-yang realm. Such a martial artist had actually lost to a 4th-level astral-reaching realm martial artist. If it wasn't because Tang Ao was too monstrous, then it would mean that Yang Feng was a pig. Yang Tianxing didn't think that Yang Feng was a pig, nor did he think that Tang Ao could be that monstrous. Therefore, Yang Tianxing had a vague feeling that Yang Feng's death was not that simple. Sister Ling, there seems to be a few flying spirit boats coming over. On the city wall, Huang Qir looked at the 3 mighty flying spirit boats in the distance and said to Ling Shuiyao, who was beside her. After seeing the 3 flying spirit boats, Ling Shuiyao's expression changed. Although Ling Shuiyao knew that Huang Tianxing would definitely call for more experts from Stellar Sky City to cause trouble, Ling Shuiyao didn't expect the martial artists from Stellar Sky City to arrive so quickly. This time, Ling Shuiyao didn't hesitate and activated the 5th-rank immortal array of the City of Beasts. The City of Beasts' array was left by the founder of the City of Beasts. The founder of the 100 Beast City had left behind a total of 3 arrays. The first one was a Grade 5 immortal array surrounding the city. However, one could use array flags to switch between Grade 1 immortal arrays to Grade 5 immortal arrays. The second array was the 7th-rank killing array that Tang Ao had seen before. It was indeed a 7th-rank killing array, but it could only be used once, which meant that it could only kill 1 person. The last formation was called the Beast Taming Formation. Ling Shuiyao had never activated this array before, because when the old city lord of the City of Beasts gave the array flag to Ling Shuiyao, he said that she could not activate this beast-taming array unless the City of Beasts was about to be destroyed. Ling Shuiyao had always kept these words in mind. Therefore, even though Ling Shuiyao was constantly studying these 3 arrays, Ling Shuiyao had never touched the beast-taming array's array flag. Luo Shi sat on a city wall, wiping his huge axe. Suddenly, a blinding flash of lightning streaked across the sky and struck the defensive array of the City of Beasts. Luo 11 looked up and saw Huang Yuechen and the others. The one who attacked the defense array was Yang Tianxing, who was at Yin-Yang Realm Stage 5. When Yang Tianxing released his Yin-Yang Realm Stage 5 cultivation, many people in the City of Beasts fell into despair when they felt Yang Tianxing's terrifying aura. They could have left this place safely if they had held on for a few more days. However, Huang Tianxing from Sky Star City had come looking for them again. Moreover, he was accompanied by a Yin-Yang Realm expert from Sky Star City. Even Song Qiufeng's expression changed when he felt Yang Tianxing's terrifying aura. Song Qiufeng naturally recognized Yang Tianxing from aloft. Song Qiufeng didn't understand. Even if the 1,000 Merchants building gave up on him, they would never give up on the 100 Scarlet Gold Immortal Artifact. However, why was Yang Tianxing from Sky Star City here, but the experts from 1,000 Merchants building were nowhere to be seen? Did they really not want the Scarlet Gold Immortal Artifacts in their hands? Chapter 2565. Therefore, the experts from the 1,000 Merchant House were already on their way. However, the 1,000 Merchant House was too far away from here. The second batch of experts from the Sky Star City had arrived, but the experts from the 1,000 Merchant House were still on their way. I'm here today to look for 2 people. One is Tang Ao and the other is Song Qiufeng. This has nothing to do with the rest of you. Please don't interfere. Outside the City of Beasts' defense array, Huang Yuechen spoke in a clear voice. Huang Yuechen's voice wasn't loud, but as he circulated his immortal spiritual force, his voice also spread to the surroundings, ringing in the ears of every martial artist in the City of Beasts. Hearing Huang Yuechen's words, everyone had different expressions. Although Tang Ao had contributed a lot to the City of Beasts, this was clearly the biggest calamity for the City of Beasts. After getting past Huang Yuechen, they just needed to wait for a few days for the Blood Clan's blood source array to weaken. Then, everyone would be able to leave this place safely. Therefore, at this moment, many people actually looked at the house where Tang Ao was, as if hoping that Tang Ao would take the initiative to step forward. The City of Beasts has many array flags refined by senior brother Tang Ao, many elixirs, immortal equipment, and everyone's hard work. That's why the City of Beasts is able to hold on this time. These people destroyed the City of Beasts' defense array for no reason. We will definitely not compromise with them. Ling Shuiyao looked angrily at Huang Tianqing's group. Ling Shuiyao didn't understand. The people in the City of Beasts didn't have any grudges with these people, but these people kept coming to the City of Beasts to cause trouble. Miss Ling is right. One has to cultivate for a lifetime to have a clear conscience. If I back off today, I will definitely feel guilty in the future. The one who spoke was a skinny young man in white robes. This young man had a wine gourd hanging on his waist. He seemed to be an alcoholic. However, not many people in the City of Beasts thought that this young man was an alcoholic. This young man was the second strongest on the City of Beasts' blood demon list, Bai Yunhua. Although Bai Yunhua was ranked below Senior Black, no one could be sure who was stronger. Even the two of them weren't sure. During this period of time, Senior Black had killed 21 blood demons, while Bai Yunhua had killed 20. From this number, it could be seen that the two of them should be equally matched in strength. After Bai Yunhua said that, he looked at Luoshi, who was sitting on the city wall and wiping his giant axe. Senior Black and Luoshi had fought before. At the same cultivation level, Senior Black could only withstand 9 moves from Luoshi before being defeated. Bai Yunhua had always wanted to compete with Luoshi, but in order to surpass Black Lai, he had been searching for blood demons nearby. It was a pity that the blood demons around the City of Beasts seemed to have been annihilated. No matter how hard Bai Yunhua searched, he could not find them. After Bai Yunhua, many other martial artists spoke up. In the 100 Beast City, although there were quite a number of people who wanted to retreat, but at the same time, there were also many martial artists who remembered Tang Ao's kindness. During his time in the City of Beasts, Tang Ao had never rejected any of the martial artists who came to ask for pills. The number of martialists who had received Tang Ao's kindness was not small. Second brother, they are just a bunch of barbarians. Why bother talking nonsense with them? Let's just break the array formation and kill our way in. Huang Tianqing was furious when he heard the shouting of the martialists in the City of Beasts. Huang Tianqing's original intention was to kill all the martialists who had attacked him previously. However, his second brother had said that Tang Ao and Song Qiufeng were the main culprits and that there was no need to care about the rest. Too many killings would easily incur the wrath of the masses. Chapter 2566. Shut up. Huang Yuechen interrupted Huang Tianqing coldly. Huang Tianqing was his younger brother, but Huang Yuechen and Huang Tianqing only shared the same father but different mothers. If his biological brother, Huang Haoyang, had been here, he might have followed him. However, Huang Yuechen was here, so he couldn't allow Huang Tianqing to act recklessly. If Yang Tianqing's younger brother hadn't died here, Huang Yuechen wouldn't have wanted to get involved in this mess. However, he had to come to appease Yang Tianqing. Yang Tianqing was Huang Yuechen's right-hand man, an extremely useful chess piece for Huang Yuechen. Huang Yuechen would naturally try to win over such a person. Everyone, I will repeat myself. Today's matter has nothing to do with any of you. My Sky Star City's Yang Feng died a violent death. I just want to ask Tang Ao and Song Qiufeng about the situation. Huang Yuechen had come for Yang Tianxing, not to ruin his reputation. The Five Elements wasteland was under the control of Sky Star City. If he won the battle with Huang Haoyang in the future, this place would be his territory. However, Huang Yuechen had considered everything, but he had neglected Yang Tianxing's arrogance. After hearing everyone's words, Yang Tianxing's golden lightning spear struck the City of Beasts' defense array without any hesitation. Although the City of Beasts' defense array had already been upgraded to a Grade 5 immortal array, it still trembled under Yang Tianxing's attack. Before Huang Yuechen could dissuade him, Yang Tianxing's spear had already struck out a second time. Huang Tianxing didn't dare say much to Yang Tianxing, but Wei Chu was Huang Tianxing's subordinate. After Yang Tianxing's 2 strikes, the defense array was already full of cracks. Suddenly, Wei Chu struck out with his spear once again. This immediately became the straw that broke the mule's back. A loud "kacha" sound was heard. This time, the 100 Beast City's defensive array formation was shattered by brute force. Although everyone in the City of Beasts was furious, no one dared to make a sound in the face of Yang Tianxing's menacing aura. "Senior brother Yang, those two know where Tang Ao is." Wei Chu immediately pointed at Huang Qir and Ling Xueyao as he spoke to Yang Tianxing. Yang Tianxing's face turned cold, and he suddenly extended the spear in his hand. A golden spear radiance flew out and blasted towards Ling Xueyao and Huang Qir. However, before Yang Tianxing's spear radiance could reach Ling Xueyao and Jian Xiaotian, a figure suddenly flew up. It was Luoxi. Although Yang Tianxing was already at the Yin-Yang realm level 5 and Luoxi was only at the Yin-Yang realm level 3, Luoxi wasn't afraid at all. After Luoxi casually dispersed the spear radiance with his axe, Yang Tianxing looked at Luoxi and said coldly, "Who do you think you are? How dare you block me?" As soon as he finished speaking, he turned his spear and attacked Luoxi. The highest limit to enter the Heaven Dao Mystic Realm was the Yin-Yang Realm Level 3. Because of this, Luoxi had to suppress his cultivation at the Yin-Yang Realm Level 3 and not break through. If Luoxi wanted to break through, he wouldn't dare to say that he would be at the Celestial Turbid Realm, but he would at least be at the Advanced Yin-Yang Realm. This Yang Tianxing might be able to flaunt his might in the Sky Star City, but he was far from it in front of Luoxi. Luoxi's immortal spiritual energy exploded, and a powerful aura spread out. The Heaven Fault axe in his hand whistled through the air and cleaved downward. Yang Tianxing actually had a feeling that he couldn't block it. Yang Tianxing couldn't imagine how this small city of beasts could have a powerful martial artist like Yang Tianxing. Huang Yuechen didn't want to fight in the first place, but now that he saw a powerful martial artist like Luoxi in the City of Beasts, he cursed Yang Tianxing even more. Dang! With only one attack, Luoxi's Heaven Fault axe smashed Yang Tianxing down from the sky. Although Wei Chu knew that he wasn't Luoxi's opponent, he still made his move immediately, blocking Luoxi from chasing after Yang Tianxing. Yang Tianxing took this opportunity to come back to his senses. The spear in his hand shook, and he attacked towards Luoxi again. In the distance, Huang Tianxing waved his hand, and the rest of the Astral Reaching Realm Level 9 and Yin-Yang Realm martial artists appeared as well. Within a blink of an eye, Luoxi was surrounded by more than 10 martial artists. "Senior brother Luo, let me help you." Right then, Tang Ao's voice was heard. At the same time, 3 golden profound sky arrows whistled through the air. Besides a Yin-Yang Realm Level 1 martial artist, who barely managed to dodge them, Tang Ao's 3 arrows had killed 2 Astral Reaching Realm Level 9 martial artists instantly. Chapter 2567. Suddenly, terrifying sorcery techniques exploded in the sky above the City of Beasts. In the middle of the battle, Luoxi's body flickered with cold light. No matter how one looked at it, Luoxi's giant axe was a clumsy, blunt weapon. Although the giant axe had a blade, The blade was as wide as a pinky finger. When it smashed into someone, it was like being hit by a hammer. In Luo Shi's hands, such a clumsy, blunt weapon could be used freely without any loss of dexterity. The martial artists in Sky Star's city seemed to like using spears as their weapons. Whether it was Yang Feng, who was fighting with Tang Ao, Wei Chu, or Yang Tianxing, who was fighting with Luo Shi, they all used spears as their weapons. The martial artists in Sky Star's city cultivated very similar technique. Tang Ao could vaguely tell that there were three very similar thunder attribute techniques. Huang Yuechen and Huang Tianxing cultivated one, Yang Tianxing and Wei Chu cultivated another, and Yang Feng cultivated another. The power of these three techniques decreased accordingly. It was obvious that Sky Star's city was an organization with a strict hierarchy. After Tang Ao released another strike with the primordial sacred sky bow, Wei Chu had already appeared not far away from Tang Ao. Tang Ao's arrow didn't shoot at Wei Chu. Under such a hurried attack, and the fact that Wei Chu was on full alert, the arrow wouldn't have any effect on Wei Chu. Unless Tang Ao and Wei Chu had the same cultivation. If Tang Ao was also at the first stage of the Yin-Yang realm, Wei Chu would be a dead man as long as Tang Ao took out the primordial sacred sky bow. Chi! A bolt of lightning struck, and Tang Ao retreated rapidly. After Tang Ao retreated, the place where Tang Ao had been standing was immediately bombarded with stone fragments. The surrounding martial artists from the City of Beasts couldn't dodge in time and were killed on the spot by the wandering lightning snake. A Yin-Yang Realm Level 1 martial artist's attack was so terrifying. Golden runes emerged from Tang Ao's body in an instant. These golden runes shone with a sacred and mysterious light as they slowly merged with Tang Ao's body. Tang Ao's body seemed to let out a deafening roar. Wei Chu then saw that Tang Ao seemed to have activated his golden body. Golden light radiated from his body, making him look indestructible. After using the Vajra incarnation, Tang Ao's body was filled with an explosive power. After Tang Ao's great desolate immortal body had been cultivated to the Yuan body level, Tang Ao's physique was no longer weaker than a Yin-Yang realm martial artist. After Tang Ao used the Vajra embodiment, Tang Ao's physical strength was comparable to that of a peak Yin-Yang realm martial artist. With such a physique, it would be very difficult to break through Tang Ao's defense if he was facing an astral-reaching realm martial artist's attack without a very powerful spell or a very powerful immortal weapon. After Tang Ao used the Vajra embodiment, the long spear in Wei Chu's hand also surged with golden lightning. After a while, the long spear in Wei Chu's hand could no longer be seen. At this moment, it was like a golden lightning in Wei Chu's hand. Stop struggling. Hand over the primordial sacred heaven bow, and I will spare your life. Wei Chu did not attack immediately. Instead, he began to persuade Tang Ao. Wei Chu naturally knew Tang Ao's identity. Although Tang Ao was from the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce, Wei Chu did not have any scruples. Although the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce had Chaotic Heaven Realm martial artists, in the Desolate Martial Realm, Chaotic Heaven Realm martial artists were useless. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.